Chapter 20. Yang Wu did not expect to meet Wan Lanxin here, and Wan Lanxin did not expect to see Yang Wu here either. The two of them were born in aristocratic families and were childhood playmates, so they had a very good relationship. Wan Lanxin played the role of a big sister, bringing him and a few other childhood friends to play. Later, Wan Lanxin left Royal City with her father, and only then did they stop contacting each other. Wan Lanxin had the best talent for cultivation among their old playmates. If it were not for the fact that she had missed the 3-year recruitment period of the Amame Mountain, one of the biggest sects in the country, she would have joined the sect to cultivate martial arts. Although Wan Lanxin had lost the best opportunity, she had followed her father into the army, suppressed the prison, and practiced hard all the time. That was why she had reached the primary general level at such a young age. She had also made many military exploits and was appointed as a mayor. Wan Lanxin had been living in the prison for 3 years, so she did not pay much attention to the affairs of Royal City. She did not know about the changes in the Yang family, nor did she know that Yang Wu was imprisoned. She was so surprised to see Yang Wu's face all of a sudden. Yang Wu also did not expect to meet Wan Lanxin here, and his face was full of shame. He was a dignified viscount, so he was proud and unyielding. He never bowed his head easily, but he bowed his head to this big sister who he had played with since he was young. This big sister was one of his few admirers since he was young. He had wanted to peek at her bathing many times and wanted to bury himself in her full breasts many times. These were all just thoughts, and he did not have the courage to do so. After all, several of his childhood friends who wanted to take action were turned into pigs' heads each time. Such a deep lesson really made Yang Wu stop. However, he was more or less better than those childhood friends. At least he had been held by this big sister several times to go shopping together. There were even a few times when this big sister encouraged him to go to a brothel, jokingly saying that she would break her virginity for him. This kind of thing did not happen every time, and he was always very shy. He was even ridiculed by this big sister as a little virgin, and he replied weakly as an old virgin, and then what awaited him was merciless destruction. It was undeniable that Yang Wu and Wan Lanxin's relationship since they were young was very sincere. The two of them also called each other brother and sister, and were one of the best playmates. Now, one was already the mayor of the mountain prison, and was in charge of many people. With her age, she was already very dazzling. The other was a hereditary viscount who had been imprisoned and became a prison slave. His status fell greatly, and he was even worse than a commoner. The difference between the two of them was already different from the past. Yang Wu's eyes had a complicated look and lightly said, "It's me. I'm already a prisoner. Sister Lanxin, you don't have to care about me. If you still remember the friendship from before, then let people find less trouble for me. Yang Wu will be very grateful." It would have been better if Yang Wu did not mention this, but once he did, Wan Lanxin became angry. Her eyes locked onto Su Ziyang, and Su Ziyang instantly shivered. Then Wan Lanxin violently slapped Su Ziyang's face. The tragic Su Ziyang was slapped silly, several of his front teeth flew out, and his cheeks swelled up like a pig's head. He looked very miserable, and the other prison guard were trembling, not daring to make a sound. The other prison slaves were very happy to see this. They hated Su Ziyang to the core, but they did not have the strength to resist. Seeing him suffer, they were very happy. At this time, there were many wolf howls in the distance, and it was shocking to hear. Wan Lanxin wanted to say something to Yang Wu, but after hearing the wolf howls, she frowned and told the prison guards, "You guys look after my little brother. If anything happens to him, I'll hold you responsible." Pausing for a moment, she said to Yang Wu, "You stay here for now. I'll come back for you after we defeat the wolf demons." Finished speaking, she flipped onto the leopard, turned her head and looked deeply at Yang Wu, and then quickly rushed back to the 8th district. Yang Wu looked at the distant Wan Lanxin. His heart was filled with joy and secretly thought, "It seems that Sister Lanxin did not forget me." Now the prison guards and prison slaves looked at Yang Wu with a completely different gaze. The prison guards knew Wan Lanxin's identity. This was their leader's daughter, and here she was the princess in their hearts. Even if they had 1,000 guts, they would not dare to go against Wan Lanxin's words. The prison slaves were full of reverence and envy for Yang Wu. This master had such a strong backing even in prison. They were afraid that he would not be far from being released from prison. The wolf demon disaster came quickly, and it also subsided quickly. Wan Tianlong mobilized the Ho army. 3,000 Ho soldiers held the scarlet steel Ho and shot at the wolf demons. One wolf demon after another was shot to death by these terrifying soldiers. Lang Cha was not Wan Tianlong's opponent. After being stabbed by Wan Tianlong's sword, he had no choice but to retreat with the remnants of his army. When he retreated, he still did not forget to leave behind ruthless words, preparing to summon their wolf king to deal with Wan Tianlong. 3,000 to 4,000 wolf demons were killed, and less than 1,000 managed to escape. The mountain prison also suffered great losses. More than 1,000 prison guards and 3,000 prison slaves died. The ground was covered with corpses and broken limbs. It was a shocking sight. Wan Tianlong ordered people to guard the mountain prison strictly in case the wolf demons attacked again. He brought Zhao Chongdao and Lai Feng into the 8th district, preparing to open the secret place there and increase his strength. Wan Lanxin stopped her father and asked, "What happened to Uncle Yang's family? Why didn't you tell me?" Wan Tianlong asked doubtfully, "Which Uncle Yang?" "Uncle Yang Jinan," Wan Lanxin replied. Wan Tianlong wrinkled his brows and said, "You saw that brat Yang Wu?" Wan Lanxin nodded and said, "I saw him. He's not good. It's not just bad. The Yang family is completely finished. You don't have to pay attention to him. Just let him fend for himself." He didn't want to give up such a good life of wealth, but stubbornly refused to change, implicating the Yang family in the process. "What a fool," Wan Tianlong replied with a disdainful gaze. He then ignored his daughter and led 1,000 people into the 8th district's deep pit. Wan Lanxin muttered in dissatisfaction, "If you don't say, I'll ask myself. I don't believe that Yang Wu can commit any unforgivable mistakes." Immediately after, she rode her leopard towards the 68th district. In the 68th district, Yang Wu lived in a stone house. Yang Wu was letting Little Man take care of Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey was hit very hard by Su Ziang. His internal organs were bleeding. If he hadn't been cultivating for a few days, Su Ziang's attacks would have been enough to take his life. Yang Wu fed his best blood ginseng to Skinny Monkey, and even took a wild snow pear from Little Man and ground it into a small juice. He fed it all to Skinny Monkey, because he definitely didn't want Skinny Monkey to die because of him. "Young master, brother's son will be fine, right?" Little Man asked worriedly. "He'll be fine," Yang Wu replied firmly. He thought of Su Ziang's appearance and secretly swore in his heart, "No matter who supports you, you will die." Su Ziang had already entered Yang Wu's must-kill list. Other than the person who destroyed the Yang family, he really rarely hated such a person. Yang Wu walked towards Little Hay, who was lying in front of the stone house. He squatted down and said to Little Hay seriously, "Little Hay, if the blood ginseng and wild snow pear can't save Skinny Monkey, can you please save him?" Little Hay blinked its eyes, its blue eyes exuding a trace of intelligence. It stood up, shook its little butt, and barked twice in response. "I'll take it that you agree," Yang Wu said. Immediately after, he sat cross-legged to the side and began to treat his injuries. There were a lot of injuries on his body and a lot of blood stained half of his body. It was so shocking that Little Man's heart ached when she saw it. Little Man took a rag and carefully bandaged his wounds. She couldn't help but burst into tears and sobbed. "Young master, your injuries are also serious." Yang Wu sat cross-legged and replied with a faint smile, "This is nothing. It should be completely healed in a short time." Now, he was constantly running the sovereign's 9 profound formulas. The profound chi of the peach pit dantian and the 12 standard meridians flowed back and forth to nourish every part of his body, alleviating the pain on his body a lot. The deep wounds that were visible to the bone were slowly healing. This scene was extremely magical. This kind of recovery speed could simply be called an immortal body. This was not the first time Yang Wu felt this situation. When he swallowed the peach pit, his destroyed dantian and broken hand automatically recovered. At that time, he was in a state of coma and couldn't feel it very clearly. Now, it was completely different. He could feel the profound qi flowing in his body with an innate healing ability, healing his injuries bit by bit. Little man looked at Yang Wu's wounds that were squirming and was shocked. "Young master, your wounds are moving. Did it crack again?" Yang Wu couldn't look back and could only ask back. No, it's growing new flesh. It seems to be healing on its own." Little man said while lightly covering her mouth. Yang Wu laughed. "Ha! This young master really has an immortal body. Who in the world can harm me?" At this time, a delicate voice sounded from outside the stone house. "Little brother Wu, you're still so shameless." Chapter 21. Wan Lanxin had arrived. She was still clad in battle armor and straddling a leopard. She was valiant and beautiful beyond compare. She got off the leopard and headed straight for the stone house. When the jailers outside saw this scene, they couldn't help but cry out in surprise. "That brat is so lucky. He actually managed to make Mayor Wan lower herself." Before, Little Man had seen Wan Lanxin from afar. Now that she saw her up close, she immediately revealed a look of inferiority. She lowered her black face, and her entire person became unnatural. Yang Wu stood up with his upper body bare. He met Wan Lanxin's beautiful eyes with a complicated expression. "Sister Lanxin, why did you really come? This place is an insult to your status." "Status my ass. My little brother has already become a prisoner. As his older sister, I actually didn't know. I even let you suffer so much for nothing. It's all my fault," Wan Lanxin said with a bit of guilt. She then walked up and naturally grabbed Yang Wu's hand as she said, "I'll take you out of here first." This wasn't the first time that Wan Lanxin had held Yang Wu's hand, but this time it moved him the most. He didn't leave with them. Instead, he broke free from Wan Lanxin's hand and said, "I have a brother who's been heavily injured here. I have to stay behind to look after him." After a pause, he added, "I'm a heavy prisoner. If you take me away so openly, you'll be implicated. When have you ever seen your older sister afraid of trouble? Moreover, this mountain prison is under my father's control. Who would dare gossip? Unless they're tired of living." Wan Lanxin's voice wasn't soft, scaring the jailers outside. Wan Lanxin then went to take a look at Shouho's injuries. She directly took out a pill and said, "This is a healing pill. Give it to him, and his life won't be in danger." Yang Wu took it and handed it to Little Man. "Look after Skinny Monkey. I'll be back soon." The little man took the pill and nodded. "Don't worry, young master. I'll look after Big Brother Sunday in this way." Yang Wu followed Wan Lanxin out of the stone house. "Get on my mount." Wan Lanxin confidently called out to Yang Wu. Yang Wu looked at this mighty leopard. Its pair of vicious leopard eyes were extremely frightening, and its long fangs were exposed. If he was bitten, he would definitely die. Yang Wu swallowed his saliva. "Sister Lanexa, I'd better walk. Walking seems to be safer. Yo, where's your lawless courage? You don't even dare to sit on my little flower. That's too frustrating." Wan Lanxin laughed and teased. She then grabbed Yang Wu's shoulder. She didn't care if he agreed or not. She pressed him onto the leopard and took him away from here. The leopard's speed was extremely fast. It was simply as fast as lightning. Yang Wu was placed in front of Wan Lanxin. He only heard a whining sound, which scared him to death. Wan Lanxin hugged him from behind and let out a silvery laugh in his ear. "Little brother Wu, you've grown up, but your courage is getting smaller and smaller. Back then, you were just a little guy. You even dared to climb onto my Little Red and ride with me." Speaking of Little Red, Yang Wu had a deep impression of it. It was a red colt that ran extremely fiercely. It was Wan Lanxin's first mount. At that time, she provocatively said to Yang Wu, "As long as you can climb onto Little Red's body, I'll ride with you once." Yang Wu thought of being able to ride with Wan Lanxin's little man, so he was extremely daring. The 13-year-old child grabbed the saddle and wanted to climb onto Little Red's back. Unexpectedly, he fell down and had a bloody nose and a swollen face. At that time, Yang Wu climbed a total of 13 times and fell down 13 times. Several of his bones were broken. In the end, Wan Lanxin hugged him and rode Little Red together like now. That was a memory he would never forget in his life. Now, it was like time was flowing backwards. He was riding with Wan Lanxin again, but he was no longer that little brat. She was still that sexy and beautiful big sister. No, she still changed. She was even more beautiful than before. Her temperament was even more outstanding, and her chest was even fuller. It made him completely forget about the fear the leopard brought to him when it ran too fast. His heart was at ease, and he felt a sense of comfort and care. It had been a long time since he had this kind of feeling. Yang Wu calmed down. He leaned into Wan Lanxin's embrace and lazily said, "Sister Lanxin, it's good to be able to see you. Even if I die now, I can die in peace. You should use your flowery words to deceive your little sister Yu. Wan Lanxin spat out and said. Although she said so, her delicate face was flushed red, adding a bit of charm to it. I don't know if I'll be able to see her again in this life. When Yang Wu heard the two words, Yu, his face became a bit more gentle as he emotionally replied. Wan Lanxin thought that Yang Wu had given up on himself because he had been sent to prison, so she immediately said encouragingly, "With Big Sister here, I guarantee that you'll be able to get out of prison." Yang Wu smiled but didn't reply. He didn't think that Wan Lanxin had this ability. Yang Wu enjoyed Wan Lanxin's warm and fragrant jade embrace, and his heart calmed down. Gradually, he actually fell asleep. He had been too tired these days, and he had just gone through a great battle. Now that he had relaxed, it was hard not to fall asleep. Wan Lanxin looked at the sleeping Yang Wu and felt his unique manly aura. Looking at his sharp edges, she bitterly sighed in her heart. I wanted to go back to Imperial City to see you in 3 months, but I didn't think that I would meet you here first. This sleep, Yang Wu didn't know how long he slept. When he woke up, he was already in a room filled with a warm atmosphere. He rubbed his eyes and found that there was a woman sitting in the room. This woman's hair was like a waterfall. Her eyes were bright. Her skin was white as snow. Her waist was soft, and her long legs were half exposed. There was a lamp in front of this woman, and the more he looked at her, the more beautiful she was. Sister Lanxin. Yang Wu couldn't help but call out. Wan Lanxin turned around and saw Yang Wu struggling to get up. She stood up and walked over. You're awake? Sister Lanxin, why did you bring me to your room? People like me are so unlucky, Yang Wu said with embarrassment. He found that his clothes had been changed, and he was much cleaner. His body didn't feel any discomfort, so he was even more grateful to Wan Lanxin. It was just that he was a criminal, and the person he had offended was too big. He really didn't want to implicate her, so he said this. Wan Lanxin rolled her eyes at Yang Wu and said, It's only been 3 years, and you're already treating me like an outsider. You've really grown up, and you don't even want to recognize me as your big sister? Sister Lanxin, what are you saying? You and I grew up together, and you can even guess how many worms I have in my stomach. How would I dare not recognize you as my big sister? Yang Wu said with a wry smile, and then said, I'm now a criminal slave, and you're the dignified mountain prison district chief. There's a difference in status. Big sister brought you here, so why care about that? Tell Big Sister what happened. Wan Lanxin said domineeringly. She paused for a moment and then said, Forget it. You've already slept for 2 days and 2 nights. Go eat something first, and then tell me after you've taken a bath. There's plenty of time anyway. Yang Wu wasn't a fussy person. He naturally wanted to borrow Wan Lanxin's ability to get rid of his identity as a prison slave, but he really didn't want to implicate her. Yang Wu looked at the food that had already been prepared in the room, and his stomach was already growling. I'm going to eat. Yang Wu didn't care about his image. After saying that, he began to madly devour the food in front of him. Wan Lanxin rested her chin on her hand, and her phoenix eyes didn't blink as she watched Yang Wu eat. Her beautiful eyes revealed a look of pity. She remembered how this young man had fallen off the back of a horse 13 times for her. She remembered how this young man had taken liberties with her and brought over a dozen soldiers to beat up that person and threw him into the river to feed the fishes. She also remembered that when she was cultivating in the ice and snow, something went wrong, and he had to carry her on his back for more than a dozen miles to seek help. After she was rescued, he was frozen stiff and fell sick almost dying a small death. Yesterday was still the same, and their love was stronger than gold. After Yang Wu ate his fill, a servant brought a wooden bathtub and placed it behind the screen without any hesitation. Yang Wu shyly said, "Sister Lonxian, I'm in your room. Is it really okay to take a bath? If you keep being fussy, do you believe that I won't eat you, this little virgin boy?" Wan Lanxin said domineeringly. "Oh, I'll take a bath now." Yang Wu shrunk his neck and replied. After he took off his clothes and entered the bathtub, he whispered to himself, "I wonder who can take Sister Lon X in, this old virgin girl." Just as he finished speaking, he heard the sound of the wind and a burst of fragrance. Wan Lanxin had already appeared in front of him, scaring him to the point that he trembled. Then he shrunk his body into the water and stuttered, "Sister Lonxian, what do you want? I want to do you." Wan Lanxin met Yang Wu's gaze and rudely said. Yang Wu almost fainted. He covered his lower body with a red face and said, "Sister Lonxian, don't be like this. We're not good like this. If you insist, I'll reluctantly do it, but you have to remember to be gentle. I heard that the first time will hurt a lot." Yang Wu's head was almost in the water. In front of her, he was too weak. "Che, just because you're a little virgin boy, this miss is not interested. If you keep talking nonsense, I'll cut it off," Wan Lanxin said with disdain and then turned to leave. Yang Wu did not see that her face was already red, as if she was drunk. "I'm a virgin boy, but how is it small? Really?" Yang Wu looked at his sturdy lower body and thought in his heart, feeling extremely unconvinced. Chapter 22. After Yang Wu took a bath and changed his clothes, he looked tall and handsome. His whole body looked free and easy. His skin was exposed to the sun for many days, but it didn't have the slightest roughness. Instead, it had a bronze color. His body was slender and well-proportioned. His innate, noble aura added a bit of wildness to it. Wan Lanxin looked up, and her phoenix eyes flashed with a brilliant light. She praised inside her heart, "This little virgin has grown up. Let's talk about your matter. What happened to your Yang family? With Uncle Yang's noble title, how can others easily touch him?" Wan Lanxin went straight to the point. Yang Jinan was a noble count and a Confucian general. He was a fourth-rank official, and the Yang family's old man was a third-rank official. They had been loyal for generations. Apart from the imperial family, who else could touch them? Yang Wu showed an unwilling look and said, "It's all because of that bitch Tang Jiaoyan, that arrogant little princess?" Wan Lanxin asked in doubt. Yang Wu nodded his head and briefly told the whole story to Wan Lanxin. It turned out that Tang Jiaoyan was the daughter of Marquis Tang Fu and Prince Fu, and was the younger brother of the current emperor of the Xia dynasty. His status was very high. Tang Jiaoyan was born as a princess, second only to the princess. She was born with a noble temperament. Her age was similar to Yang Wu. She took a fancy to the handsome Yang Wu, so she told her father that she wanted him to marry into her family as her son-in-law. Unfortunately, Yang Wu didn't like Tang Jiaoyan. She looked good, but unfortunately, her character was not good. The most important thing was that Yang Wu already had a sweetheart, so he refused this marriage. This time, Yang Wu completely offended this little princess, because no one knew who secretly spread the news about the marriage between the two families. This made Prince Fu and lose his face and made this little princess become a laughingstock. Prince Fu and was furious, while the little princess cried in grief. Prince Fu and had no way to take down the Yang family because of this matter. At most, he could only make the Yang family look bad. Tang Jiaoyan was very dissatisfied. She hooked up with other people and plotted against Yang Wu, making people mistakenly think that he raped her. When she was caught, Prince Fu and took this opportunity to launch an attack. He directly led his troops to raid the Yang family. The Yang family had no one to complain about this matter. This matter damaged the face of the imperial family. Yang Wu was almost beheaded. If it weren't for Yang Wan, who was the top scholar in the imperial college, giving up his position in exchange for Yang Wu's life, Yang Wu would not have been sent to this place. After listening to Yang Wu's story, Wan Lanxin clenched her fists so hard that her knuckles turned white. She couldn't help but curse. "This little bitch, she really deserves to die." Yang Wu smiled bitterly. Sister Lonexen, don't be angry. Who told her to be a golden branch and jade leaf? I didn't know what's good for me and lost her face. It's only right that she punished me. Then he exposed his anger and said, but she shouldn't have made my Yang family fall to this point. Usually, you are very smart, but why are you so stupid this time? You actually fell into her trap. Wan Lanxin patted her forehead and said. Yang Wu clenched his fist and said, at that time, I wanted to take the opportunity to explain to her and ease the relationship between the two families. Although I don't have a good impression of her, I still have to think about my Yang family. But who would have thought that this little bitch is so poisonous? She even drugged my wine. Now that things have come to this point, you must find a way to save it. Wan Lanxin said. Yang Wu spread out his hands and said, that's an aristocratic family we're talking about, and they're even related to the royal family. Sister, don't waste your time scheming. If you really want to treat me well, then tell your subordinates not to cause trouble. I suspect that they've already been ordered by their superiors to completely cripple me. How dare they? Wan Lanxin angrily shouted, and then she said, elsewhere, I may not be able to help, but here, my words are final. You can live here from now on. Let's see who dares to touch a hair on your head. It had to be said that Wan Lanxin was really protective of Yang Wu. If it were anyone else who knew that he had offended a noble, they would probably stay as far away as possible. Yang Wu was very touched. He thought of those childhood friends of his. Before he was sent to the mountain prison, not many of them dared to visit him. They usually indulged in wine and women and called each other brothers. But at the crucial moment, they could see the fickleness of human nature. However, Yang Wu did not blame them. This matter was related to the imperial family and involved too much. There was nothing wrong with them protecting themselves. Perhaps he would have done the same. Wan Lanxin ordered a few jars of wine. She did not care whether Yang Wu was injured or not. The two drank and chatted. Wan Lanxin took a sip of wine and changed the topic. I saw the corpse of the wolf demon 2 days ago. It was killed by you first. So what? Yang Wu asked back. That was a soldier-level wolf demon. With your strength, you should have been sent to the top 10 districts. They actually sent you to the 68th district. Interesting. Wan Lanxin said with some doubt. If my Dantian was destroyed before I was sent to prison, would you believe me? Yang Wu said with a bitter smile. Really? Wan Lanxin raised her eyebrows and said. There was a faint trace of anger in her voice. Yang Wu poured out all the bitter water that he had encountered recently to Wan Lanxin. Wan Lanxin was an excellent listener. She echoed Yang Wu's words from time to time. Most of the time, she felt indignant for Yang Wu. She was like a real sister, caring for him. Tonight, they were completely drunk. With Wan Lanxin's strength, it was not difficult for her to force the alcohol out of her body. But she did not do so. She hugged Yang Wu and directly fell onto the bed. Yang Wu was a drunken mess. Naturally, he hugged Wan Lanxin and rolled onto the bed with her. The two people were completely entangled together. The moon outside the window quietly hid in the clouds, as if it was ashamed to look. The low-pitched insects also stopped making noise. Everything fell into silence. In the deep pit of the 8th district, Wan Tianlong, Zhao Changdao, and Lai Feng had already entered. At the same time, more than half of the people around them were injured. The baleful blood qi here was too terrifying. It could corrode a person's mind, making them lose their reason and kill each other. Wan Tianlong, Zhao Changdao, and Lai Feng had strong mental fortitude, so they were not affected too much. But if this continued, they would not be able to hold on. Wan Tianlong took out an evil warding bead and activated its power. It isolated most of the baleful blood qi, allowing some people to survive. They were already very close to the blood altar and saw the pile of Earth Spirit Spring. They also saw piles of terrifying demon bones piled up there. There were wolf demons, bear demons, tiger demons, and even humans. The corpses were piled up, and waves of baleful qi surged. It was extremely shocking. Not good. This is the blood sacrifice array. This is a place of great danger. We have to leave immediately. Wan Tianlong cried out involuntarily. Wan Tianlong was the strongest in the prison field. When he saw this array, he lost his composure. How could the others dare to act rashly? They hurriedly wanted to leave with Wan Tianlong, but it was already too late. Suddenly, a lot of baleful blood chi appeared. Like wolves, bears, and tigers, they crazily pounced on Wan Tianlong and the others. These were all condensed from the baleful blood chi. They mainly attacked one's mind and soul, making it impossible to guard against. Some of the people present covered their heads and cried out in pain. Even the power of Wan Tianlong's evil warding bead could not protect them. "Get out of my way!" Lai Feng roared. His palms constantly blasted out bursts of wind, scattering the baleful blood chi that pounced on him. Zhao Changdao held a long saber and slashed in all directions. He was very ambitious. His gaze fell on the blood altar, and his body rushed over like a swallow. He ignored the baleful blood chi and gathered all his power on his long saber. A green light burst out, and like a celestial green wolf howling, he slashed fiercely at the blood altar. "No!" Wan Tianlong cried out involuntarily. Unfortunately, his cry was too late. Zhao Changdao's saber light had already slashed out. Just as Zhao Changdao's saber light was about to fall on the blood altar, a bloody hand suddenly stretched out and directly crushed Zhao Changdao's saber light. Then it quickly grabbed Zhao Changdao. Zhao Changdao was shocked. He frantically wanted to retreat, but it was too late. The bloody hand was very big. It directly grabbed Zhao Changdao and crushed him into a pool of blood. Zhao Changdao did not even have time to scream before he was completely dead. His blood scattered like fireworks in the blood soul. It was a ghastly sight. Deputy Warden Zhao is dead. This is too scary. Run. This is a monster that we can't fight. What the hell is living here? It's too scary. Run, or we will all die. Many of the prison guards were completely frightened. One by one, they frantically ran out. Damn it. Why is there a Blood King here? It seems that there's a big secret below, Wan Tianlong exclaimed in his heart. He pushed the power of the evil warding bead to the maximum, completely covering his body. He avoided a lot of the evil blood energy and didn't care about the lives of others. Just like Zhao Changdao, he rushed towards the blood soul. However, the blood sacrifice had been activated again. The monster in the blood altar had already awakened. The blood array around them was turbulent. Streaks of blood light were like swords and ferocious beasts, constantly attacking. There was really no way to defend. One could only rely on one's own strength to break through. Lai Feng did not dare to advance rashly. He called out to Wan Tianlong, "Warden, come back. That might be a Blood King. We can't fight it. Lai Feng, go back first and watch over the prison for me. If I don't come out in 7 days, take over my position temporarily." Wan Tianlong seemed to be saying his last words. Then he added, "Take care of my daughter for me." After Wan Tianlong finished speaking, a majestic, profound energy erupted from his body. Balls of profound handle energy were incomparably dazzling. The long sword in his hand slashed at the blood altar with overbearing sword shadows. Wan Tianlong was indeed the strongest in the prison. He had already reached the peak of the general realm. Even the blood hand that stretched out was broken. Wan Tianlong did not dare to be careless. He was prepared to break the blood altar in one go. The blood energy in the blood altar surged. 2 blood hands reached out at the same time and bound Wan Tianlong. They pulled him into the blood altar and disappeared. Lai Feng looked back and saw this scene. A sneer quietly appeared on his face. He was overjoyed. The mountain prison is my world from now on, huh? Chapter 23. The mountain prison courtyard was quiet and secluded. The pine trees were tall and straight, and the flowers and plants were lush. Spirit birds chirped, and spiritual energy filled the air. It was a place for health. In a room in the courtyard, Yang Wu woke up. He felt a headache coming from his head, and it was extremely uncomfortable. He got up and was still in Wan Lanqin's room. Other than the smell of alcohol, there was also the smell of boudoir. He looked at his body and found that the clothes he changed into last night were all taken off. There were also claw marks on his body. He remembered the drinking contest with Wan Lanqin last night and instantly jumped up. Could it be that I was raped by Sister Lanxin? He looked down at his lower body. His pants seemed to be tight, and he didn't feel like he had lost his virginity. He patted his head and tried desperately to remember what had happened last night, but he couldn't remember anything at all. It's over. No matter what happened, Sister Lanxin's virginity was damaged because of me. What should I do? Yang Wu muttered to himself in annoyance. He sat cross-legged and meditated, dispersing the smell of alcohol in his body. After he circulated the regal 9 mysteries formula, the smell of alcohol in his body quickly dispersed. The peach core, Dantian's 1,000 orifices breathed in and out, as if it was surrounded by immortal mist. The acupoints under his feet moved like a whirlpool, and the power of the 12 principal meridians surged. The pure, profound qi nourished his limbs and organs, and very soon his spirit was refreshed. After meditating for an hour, Yang Wu jumped down from the bed. After he was dressed neatly, he looked at his feet that had been removed from the chains. He felt much more relaxed. He didn't walk out of the room, but stood up with the dragon turtle water suppressing stance. Now, he was very clear that the dragon turtle water suppressing stance and the regal 9 mysteries formula could be combined perfectly, causing his power to circulate especially quickly. It was enough to accelerate the increase of his power. Sure enough, after he stood for a while, he once again felt the moist feeling under his feet. The absorbed water profound qi was crazily absorbed by the peach core, Dantian. Then, the 1,000 orifices spat out mist, which was fed back to the 12 principal meridians. Immediately, there was a strange sound in the meridians. This time, the strange sound was even more intense than before. It was the simultaneous firing of 1,000 arrows, carrying bursts of impassioned sound. At this moment, his power increased to the strength of 15 stones in one fell swoop, achieving the realm of a top-grade martial weapon. Others needed to accumulate strength for a long time before they could increase their strength by 1 stone. However, after Yang Wu stood for a while, his strength increased. It was really infuriating. At the same time, it also showed the profoundness of the dragon turtle water suppressing stance and the highest 9 mysteries formula. Just as Yang Wu was enjoying the pleasure of increasing his strength, the room was suddenly opened. He was so frightened that his body trembled, and his aura instantly became chaotic. Fortunately, his strength was not very strong. The peach core, Dantian's 1,000 orifices contracted, swallowing and storing this chaotic strength, preventing him from suffering a backlash. The most taboo thing about cultivating was to be interrupted. Yang Wu was very angry, but when he saw that the person who came in was Wan Lanxin, his anger disappeared without a trace. He called out, "Sister Lanxin." Wan Lanxin had already changed into her battle attire. She looked at Yang Wu and said with a sorrowful expression, "Something happened to my father. You stay here first. Wait for me to come back. I've already arranged for servants to take care of your daily needs." After Wan Lanxin finished speaking, she turned and left. Yang Wu quickly went forward and pulled her and said, "Sister Lanxin, what happened?" Wan Lanxin hesitated for a moment and said, "A blood fiend pit appeared in the 8th district. My father brought people to investigate the secrets within, but unexpectedly fell into it. I don't know if he's dead or alive. I have to go save my father. Uncle Wan is very strong. If he fell into it, I'm afraid it's an extremely dangerous place. Can you save him with your ability?" Yang Wu asked back. "I don't care so much. I have to save my father," Wan Lanxin said firmly. Then, she shook off Yang Wu's hand and strode outside. Yang Wu quickly chased after her and said, "Sister Lanxin, I'll go with you." Wan Lanxin turned around and said, "You stay here." Very quickly, Wan Lanxin summoned the leopard over. She directly jumped onto the leopard and left. Although Yang Wu walked quickly, how could he compare to Wan Lanxin's speed? He could only watch as Wan Lanxin left. "Sister Lanxin," Yang Wu loudly called out. Wan Lanxin didn't turn around. She had already left the courtyard. Yang Wu frowned, his face full of worry. He thought for a moment and also chased after the leopard. Yang Wu was no longer bound by the chains. He could run very quickly, but how could he compare to the leopard? Yang Wu was never a person who gave up easily. He circulated the supreme 9 profound arts and poured all of his strength into his feet. The acupoints in his feet had already been opened. Under the surge of strength, he instantly sped up. His speed was astonishing. This was clearly a speed that only warriors could have. Still not enough, still not enough. Yang Wu ran with all his might, but the distance between him and the leopard was getting farther and farther. He was incomparably anxious. The dragon turtle sea-turning technique quietly appeared in his mind. Elder Turtle was treading on the waves in the water. His figure was abnormally elegant, and his speed was extremely fast. It could be said that he was flying. Yang Wu poured all of the strength in his dantian into his feet. The supreme 9 profound arts urged the dragon turtle water suppressing stance. A powerful suction force sucked out a little bit of water from ground. It was as if the ground had been splashed with a layer of water, and it was as if he was stepping on water. His entire body really seemed to be flying as he rapidly sped up. Yang Wu was not in the mood to experience this wonderful feeling at all. He only knew that he was madly running. He had already used all of his strength to catch up. He was even shouting, "Sister Lon Xin, wait for me." None of the prison guards here had seen Yang Wu before, but when they heard Yang Wu shout like this, they knew that this was someone related to the eldest miss. They did not dare to stop him and could only watch as Yang Wu chased after Wan Lanxin like the wind. Wan Lanxin was in a state of grief and indignation. She wanted to hurry up and urged the leopard to run very fast. Even a high-ranking warrior might not be able to catch up. Yang Wu only had the strength of a top-notch martial soldier. She did not think that Yang Wu could catch up to her on foot. When she heard Yang Wu's shout from behind, she thought it was an illusion. Am I crazy? I'm still thinking about him at this time. Sister Lon Xin. Sister Lon Xin. This shout was very loud. Many people around them heard it. Wan Lanxin was the most beautiful military beauty in the mountain prison. She was also the prison warden's beloved daughter. Everyone respectfully called her Mayor Wan, or Eldest Mississippi now. Someone actually called her Sister Lon Xin. This made the others quite surprised. Who is this? How can he call her Eldest Miss? I've never heard that the prison warden has a son. Maybe it's the prison warden's nephew or something. I heard that the prison warden fell into a deep pit yesterday. Everything pointed to disaster. It can't be. The prison warden is very powerful. What if something happened to him? This time, Wan Lanxin was sure that someone was calling her. She looked back and saw Yang Wu running over from afar. His speed really made her look at him in a new light. "Little flower, stop." Wan Lanxin called out to the leopard. She turned her head to look at Yang Wu, who was running towards her with all his might. Her eyes were filled with gratitude. It was as if she could see the skinny figure who had carried her through the world of ice and snow to ask for help. A warm current flowed through her heart. Yang Wu really felt that he was flying. He stepped on the mountain rocks as if they were flat ground. No, to be exact, he was like a dragon turtle walking on the waves. His movements were quite relaxed and agile. Yang Wu arrived in front of Wan Lanxin and almost didn't stop in his tracks. He almost bumped into the leopards, but he looked a little embarrassed. His relaxed appearance from before was completely gone. He breathed quickly. I finally made it. Then, he jumped onto the leopard's body and hugged Wan Lanxin's little man waist. "Sister Lanxin, we can go now." Wan Lanxin's body stiffened slightly. She didn't say anything more and urged the leopard to hurry up again. Wan Lanxin was burning with anxiety, but she still said to Yang Wu on the way, "When we reach the 8th district, listen to everything I say." "Okay, I'll listen to you the most." Yang Wu agreed. Not long after, Wan Lanxin arrived at the 8th district. It was still blocked by a large number of prison guards, and no prison slaves were allowed to come close. When Wan Lanxin arrived, someone came to greet her. The person who came was riding a golden lion. He looked to be in his 30s. He was wearing armor and had an imposing appearance. He was a rare talent. He was Lai Ziying, the eldest son of Lai Feng. He had already reached the general realm and was the mayor of the 8th district. He was the first to discover the deep pit. At the same time, he was also one of Wan Lanxin's pursuers. He had long regarded Wan Lanxin as his woman. When his father told him that Wan Lanxin was probably dead, he felt that he was one step closer to Wan Lanxin. Without Wan Lanxin and Zhao Changdao, the most powerful person in the mountain prison was his father. Wan Lanxin had no one to rely on, so it was time for him to take advantage of the situation. Who would have thought that when he saw an unfamiliar youth hugging the waist of his beloved woman, he was instantly enraged. He glared at Yang Wu and shouted, "Who are you? How dare you be so rude? Get down from Lan Xian's side." Chapter 24. Li Ziying, what do you want to do? Wan Lanxin was already in a bad mood. Now that she heard Li Ziying scold Yang Wu, she became even angrier. Who is he? How can you be like this with him? Li Ziying complained. What does it have to do with you? Get out of the way. I want to enter the blood pit. Wan Lanxin didn't want to pay attention to Li Ziying. She never had a good impression of him. He was just a guy who thought too highly of himself. When Li Ziying heard Wan Lanxin's words, his face turned red and white. He took a deep breath and said, "The blood pit is not stable now. You can't rashly enter. I am not asking for your opinion. Get out of the way immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." Wan Lanxin pulled out her long spear and pointed it at Li Ziying. "Lanxin, you know that I am doing this for your own good. Can't you feel it at all?" Li Ziying said affectionately. When Wan Lanxin wanted to say something, Yang Wu suddenly said, "Sister, let me say a few words to this uncle." When Li Ziying heard the word uncle, he cursed in his heart. If he didn't hear that this young man seemed to be Wan Lanxin's brother, he would definitely have gone berserk on the spot. Wan Lanxin knew that Yang Wu was quite smart, so she let him speak. "Uncle, I am my sister's godbrother. I heard that something happened to my uncle. Please let us pass. I can see that you like my sister. You shouldn't stop us here. That will only make her feel disgusted. On the contrary, you should help my sister to save my uncle," Yang Wu said with a sincere expression. Yang Wu had been a playboy since he was a child and had seen all kinds of people. Li Ziying's appearance made it clear that he wanted to be a toad who wanted to eat swan meat. He despised him in his heart and said, "Why don't you take a piss and look at yourself in the mirror?" Bah! After Li Ziying heard Yang Wu's identity, he did not have any more doubts. He knew Wan Lanxin's character. If there was no special relationship, ordinary men could not get close to her. The young man in front of him should be her godbrother, but he did not know where he came from. What he said seemed to make sense. It's not that I don't want to let you go, but the blood pit is too dangerous. Even Warden Wan and Deputy Warden Zhao can't escape unscathed. If you go, I'm afraid you won't be of any help. You'll just die in vain, Li Ziying said slowly. You mean to say that something really happened to my Uncle Wan? Yang Wu asked. Li Ziying glanced at Yang Wu and said, I'm afraid it's a disaster. Before he finished speaking, Wan Lanxin interrupted him and shouted, Get out of my way. Wan Lanxin did not want to hear such ominous words. Li Ziying did not know that Yang Wu had dug a hole for him to jump into. This made Wan Lanxin hate Li Ziying even more. When Li Ziying saw Wan Lanxin pointing her spear at him, he could not help but jump to the side on the golden battle lion. He was about to explain, but Wan Lanxin had already passed by him on the leopard. The people around knew Wan Lanxin and quickly chased after her. They did not want anything to happen to Wan Lanxin. Li Ziying scolded angrily in his heart. Unappreciative woman, I'll kill you in the future. Without any delay, he rode on the golden battle lion and rushed over. Wan Lanxin and Yang Wu quickly arrived in front of the blood pit. The leopard's footsteps slowed down. It cried a few times and seemed very anxious. When Yang Wu came to the blood pit for the first time, he felt the smell of blood. There was also a trace of evil spirit permeating his body, making him feel very uncomfortable. This is the place that attracted the wolf demon pack. Yang Wu quietly looked around. Last night, Wan Lanxin mentioned a few words about the wolf demon pack's attack to him, so he knew the horror of the blood pit. Miss, this place has been temporarily sealed. You can't go over. A warden stopped in front of Wan Lanxin and said respectfully, Get out of my way. Wan Lanxin was not polite to the warden at all. She directly attacked. The long spear in her hand was imposing and directly stabbed at the warden. The warden was so scared that he directly rolled down from his mount. Wan Lanxin did not kill him directly. She got off the leopard and took Yang Wu to the front of the blood pit. Then she said, Come down and wait for me outside. No, I'll go in with you. Yang Wu shook his head and refused. Come down. Wan Lanqing frowned and shouted angrily. Yang Wu simply shamelessly hugged Wan Lanqing's slender waist and said, I won't get down even if you beat me to death. Li Ziying, who came later, saw this scene and felt very jealous. The woman he had not touched was all taken advantage of by the so-called godbrother. Yang Wu just looked back at Li Ziying and shouted, Uncle, why don't you go down with us? Li Ziying instantly trembled and said, It's too dangerous. You better not go down. He had heard from his father that the blood pit was extremely dangerous. Even Wan Tianlong and Zhao Changdao had died an unnatural death. He was just a beginner in the general realm. How could he survive in the blood pit? Even if he liked Wan Lanqing, he didn't want to lose his life for her. It turns out that uncle is so timid. Yang Wu sneered and then said to Wan Lanqing, Sister, let's go. Don't delay any longer. Wan Lanqing glanced at Li Ziying contemptuously and then ignored him. She took Yang Wu and jumped into the blood pit together. As the daughter of Wan Tianlong, Wan Lanqing had a rare treasure on her. She took out a jade umbrella and covered herself and Yang Wu to avoid the invasion of the evil blood qi. This was a special general weapon made of jade as the bone and ice silk as the petal. Its main function was to ward off evil spirits and focus on the spirit. It could also be used for defense. Brother Wu, when will you change your stubborn temper? It's extremely dangerous here. It's very dangerous for you to come in with me. Wan Lanqing looked back at Yang Wu sadly and sighed softly. Sister Lanqing, you are closer to me than my own sister. Your business is my business. How can I let you face it alone? You can go to Uncle Wan later. Don't worry about me. I can protect myself. Yang Wu patted his chest and said. Wan Lanqing no longer dawdled with Yang Wu. She knew Yang Wu's character. Once he decided on something, even 9 bulls could not pull him back. She carefully led Yang Wu forward. The jade umbrella emitted a faint aura of death, which fought against the evil blood qi in the pit. Along the way, the rocks on their left and right were dense. The smell of blood was pungent, and bones appeared one after another. The waves of evil blood qi made people shudder. Yang Wu had never seen such a terrifying place. He began to feel a little scared in his heart. The strength of the hand that grabbed Wan Lanqing increased by a lot. Refresh your qi and calm your heart. Treat them as nothing. Wan Lanqing could feel Yang Wu's nervousness and could not help but remind him. Yang Wu understood tacitly. He quickly calmed his mind and operated the Regal 9 profound arts. Profound qi began to circulate throughout his body. It was also at this moment that he felt a vague power calling out to him. It made the Regal 9 profound arts circulate much faster. At the same time, there was a feeling of longing. What's going on? Yang Wu thought in his heart. The deeper they went into the pit, the more obvious the feeling became. The evil blood qi became denser and denser, and the pressure became greater and greater. Wan Lanqing was already using her strength to activate the jade umbrella. Waves of jade light scattered out and clashed with the evil blood qi. We can't stay here for long. Let's speed up. Wan Lanqing reminded Yang Wu. Yang Wu nodded. The two of them began to sprint with all their strength. When they went deeper, there were evil blood qi that attacked them. There were blood wolves, lions, and humans. These evil blood qi creatures bared their fangs and claws as they pounced, directly attacking their minds. Wan Lanqing snorted coldly. She waved the jade umbrella. Many jade lights flashed like rainbows, scattering the evil blood qi creatures one by one. One of the evil blood qi creatures circled behind Yang Wu and attacked Yang Wu. Yang Wu's reaction was outstanding, but his strength was still at the martial soldier stage. It was difficult for him to activate his profound qi to destroy the evil blood qi creatures. He was attacked by the evil blood qi. The evil blood qi corroded a person's mind and flesh. It could cause a person's mind to hallucinate and collapse. It could also rot their flesh and invade their body. After Yang Wu was invaded by the evil blood qi, he felt that it was difficult to breathe. His entire body was in pain, and he couldn't help but scream. Ah! He held his head that was about to explode and cried out in alarm. He then rolled on the ground. Many evil blood-chi creatures pounced on him and fell into a dangerous situation. Wan Lanxin was busy dealing with the other evil blood-chi creatures. She couldn't take care of him at all. When she heard his scream, she was instantly confused. She repeatedly attacked and scattered many evil blood-chi creatures. Then, she turned around to save Yang Wu. "Little brother Wu, you hold on." The evil blood-chi creatures here were incomparably fierce. Wan Lanxin had the jade umbrella in her hand, but she was still in a difficult situation. It was extremely difficult to save Yang Wu. However, she couldn't watch Yang Wu die. Even if she died, she wouldn't hesitate. The jade umbrella was immeasurable. Wan Lanxin used all her strength and threw the jade umbrella at Yang Wu. The jade umbrella was sparkling and translucent, and the jade clouds fluttered nonstop. Strands of evil warding jade chi enveloped Yang Wu. The evil blood chi on Yang Wu's body dissipated, and he got a chance to catch his breath. The supreme 9 profound arts began to circulate on its own. The peach core Dantian's 1,000 holes swallowed the evil blood chi that attacked his body. It allowed him to regain his clarity in the first moment. His rotting skin also quickly recovered. After the peach core Dantian swallowed the evil blood chi, it quickly purified it. It spat out strands of pure and flawless energy, which circulated in the 12 standard meridians. A wave of impassioned sound like an arrow rippled out. The 16th strange sound, the power of the 16th stone. Who would have thought that Yang Wu could actually refine the evil blood chi and increase his strength in one fell swoop? When Yang Wu was still intoxicated by this pleasure, he suddenly heard Wan Lanxin's painful cry. Chapter 25. Wan Lanxin covered Yang Wu with her jade umbrella. She had lost her defense and was fighting against the baleful blood shadows alone. In the beginning, she was able to rely on the Xian Qi armor, unique to the general realm, to defend against the baleful blood shadows' attacks, barely blocking them. She wanted to break through these baleful blood shadows in one go and rush to the blood altar in one fell swoop. As she neared, the baleful blood shadows became even more terrifying. Even her general armor could not block the baleful blood shadows' attacks. Soon, the baleful blood chi invaded her body, causing her mind and flesh to feel extremely uncomfortable. She wanted to expel the baleful blood chi, but this kind of power was like maggots. Once entangled, it was difficult to get rid of it. Her mind and flesh were corroded at the same time, which was an extremely painful thing. Her cry of pain woke up Yang Wu, who had just increased his strength. Yang Wu came back to his senses and found the jade umbrella beside him. He knew that Wan Lanxin had risked her life to save him. He was extremely touched. Holding the jade umbrella, he rushed toward Wan Lanxin. Right now, he was not afraid of the baleful blood shadows' attacks. The Supreme 9 Mysteries formula in his body circulated rapidly, refining all the baleful blood chi that approached into his peach core Dantian. The peach core Dantian was quickly converted into pure energy, increasing his strength. This kind of environment had become an excellent place for him to cultivate. Yang Wu ran over, holding the jade umbrella, and swept it wildly at the baleful blood shadows in front of Wan Lanxin, covering Wan Lanxin with the jade umbrella. Wan Lanxin immediately felt much better. Wan Lanxin had a pained expression. It was difficult for her to use all her strength. This was also the fierceness of the baleful blood chi. "Sister Lanxin, hold on." Yang Wu was at his wit's end. He could only carry Wan Lanxin away from this land of baleful blood chi and let her catch her breath first. With the protection of the jade umbrella, Wan Lanxin's situation improved a lot. However, the baleful blood chi that had invaded her body needed to be expelled. She took out a pill from her waist and stuffed it into her mouth. Then she sat cross-legged and quickly expelled the baleful blood chi. "Sister Lanxin, stay here. I'll go in and see if I can save Uncle Wan," Yang Wu said gently to Wan Lanxin. "No, don't. The baleful blood chi is too terrifying." You won't be able to withstand it. Wan Lanxin said with difficulty. It doesn't matter. The evil blood, qi, can't hurt me. You need to take care of yourself. Don't take any more risks. Yang Wu patted the back of Wan Lanxin's hand and said. Then he strode towards the blood altar. Wan Lanxin did not have time to stop Yang Wu. She looked at his high-spirited figure and saw that he was not hindered in the slightest. Her beautiful eyes flashed with surprise. Her red lips parted slightly as she muttered, Why is Brother Wu not affected by the baleful blood qi? Yang Wu had been attacked by the baleful blood qi just now. Now he was safe and sound. She found it hard to believe. The baleful blood qi condensed and kept roaring at Yang Wu. It attacked him, but Yang Wu ignored it all. The supreme 9 mysteries formula in his body had never been so smooth. The 1,000 holes in his peach core, Dantian, kept absorbing the baleful blood qi. A lot of pure energy appeared. The flow in the 12 standard meridians surged and rippled in waves, appearing turbulent and worshipping. It greatly increased Yang Wu's strength. When Yang Wu approached the blood altar, the baleful blood qi was already extremely dense. Another strange sound came from his body. It soared to the strength of 17 stones. He was only 2 stones away from reaching the peak of a top-grade martial weapon. Yang Wu's peach core Dantian still had a lot of energy surging out. He guided it to the opened acupoints in his feet, filling them with energy. 16 acupoints in his feet had been opened. He also used the power of the Yongquan acupoint to open the kidney store, giving Yang Wu more vitality. Yang Wu faced the blood altar and looked at the piles of white bones. There were demon bones and human bones. They piled up to form a blood altar. The baleful blood qi kept surging. It was extremely terrifying. Yang Wu was surprisingly calm. The supreme 9 mysteries formula circulated even faster, as if it was urging him to go to the blood altar. There was something there that was attracting it. Yang Wu walked over just like that. He was unarmed, and his strength was only at the level of a top-grade martial weapon. Could he really go deep into the blood altar? This blood altar was formed by piling up many corpses. There was a blood array set up here, accumulating a large amount of baleful blood qi. There was also an earth spirit spring surrounding it, as if it was nurturing something strange. When Yang Wu approached the blood altar, a condensed blood hand instantly enveloped Yang Wu. Wan Lanxin, who was outside, just happened to see this scene. She cried out involuntarily, Brother Wu, run! Without thinking, she raised her jade umbrella and wanted to charge in. However, a wave of exhaustion came from her mind, making her powerless. It was difficult for her to help Yang Wu. This blood hand was also a power condensed from baleful blood qi. It was much more condensed than the baleful blood shadow he had encountered before. Its power was quite terrifying. Facing this blood hand, Yang Wu could not resist at all. He was caught. The majestic power made Yang Wu feel extremely suffocated, as if his body was about to explode. Brother Wu, Wan Lanxin cried out worriedly. The supreme 9 mysteries formula circulated at an incomparably fast speed. The peach core, Dantian's devouring speed, was even more astonishing. The power of the condensed blood hand was devoured into the body. Its power was rapidly weakening, causing the pressure on Yang Wu to decrease greatly. Get out of my way! Yang Wu roared. His hands struggled, and he directly broke free from the blood hand. If the dead Zhao Chongdao saw this scene, he would be extremely envious. A top-grade martial weapon had done something that even a high-level human general could not do. Seeing this scene, Wan Lanxin's heart that was in her throat finally calmed down. It could be seen how much she cared about Yang Wu's life. Yang Wu strode forward and saw a long saber inserted into the ground. The smooth blade flashed with a cold light. It was very dazzling. Without thinking, he pulled out the long saber. The sound of the blade rang out. He could not help but praise. It's really a good saber. This saber was Zhao Chongdao's remnant, the tiger fang saber. It was refined from a tiger's fang and mixed with various high-grade materials. It was incomparably sharp, and the wounds it cut were difficult to heal. Yang Wu was not in the mood to admire the tiger fang saber, because two more baleful blood palms were slapping towards him. Yang Wu was caught off guard. He was directly slapped into the pile of bones. His entire body seemed to be falling apart as he vomited blood. If he did not have a certain immunity to the baleful blood qi, these palms would have been enough to slap him into pieces. Yang Wu secretly shouted, "Damn it, this baleful blood qi must be controlled by someone. Otherwise, why would it attack for no reason? I have to completely absorb this baleful blood qi, so that he has no power to borrow." Yang Wu simply opened up his peach core dantian and crazily absorbed the rich baleful blood qi. The peach core dantian's 1,000 pores all swallowed it. Every pore was opening and closing, and a lot of baleful blood qi constantly seeped in. There was too much baleful blood qi, and the peach core dantian could not digest it all in a short period of time. It would stay on Yang Wu's body and invade every part of his body, causing him to scream in pain. Yang Wu became a bloody man. A lot of baleful blood qi adhered to his body. His own blood also seeped out. It was a terrifying sight. His limbs, internal organs, meridians, and bones were all being tortured by the baleful blood qi. The spirit in the divine court was the same. If he could not withstand it, he would definitely die. Wan Lanxin, who was in the distance, was extremely worried. She cried, "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought you in." She supported her body, held the jade umbrella, and walked towards Yang Wu. Yang Wu's remaining consciousness sensed Wan Lanxin's movements. He said with difficulty, "Lan, Sister Lan Xin, don't come over. I'm refining this power. Don't distract me." When Wan Lanxin heard Yang Wu's words, she stopped and shouted, "Then you have to hold on. If you die, I won't live alone." Her words were sonorous and powerful, and they were incomparably resolute. Yang Wu could not respond. He only knew that he was circulating the supreme 9 mysteries formula with all his might to refine a lot of baleful blood qi. His peach core dantian was constantly being fed back. This pure energy was nourishing his injuries, repairing his body, and maintaining his vitality. Only then could he hold on. In the blood altar, a large amount of blood condensed into a blood pool with dense baleful blood qi. There were 2 figures in it. They were both enveloped by the baleful blood qi. They were in 2 completely different situations. One of them was sealed by the power of many blood formations, as if there were blood-red chains tightly binding his vital parts, making him unable to move. He was only left with skin and bones. The other person was sitting cross-legged with the evil warding bead between his eyebrows, protecting the clarity of the divine court. His entire body had been invaded by the baleful blood qi, and his vitality had declined to a freezing point. He could die at any time. If Wan Lanxin was here, she would definitely find that the person with the evil warding bead between his eyebrows was her father, Wan Tianlong. He was undoubtedly in danger. Chapter 26. Outside the blood pit, many wardens gathered. They had a dispute, and it was all because of Wan Lanxin. Some of the wardens advocated going down to help Wan Lanxin immediately, while others dissuaded them from going down. Zhang Xiong, who was Wan Tianlong's confidant, was the core of the first district, while Lai Xing was the head of the opposition. Both sides had their own opinions and couldn't agree. Zhang Xiong was a boorish man. He was tall and strong, and his face was covered with stubble. At first glance, one could tell that he was a powerful man. He rode on a bull demon, held a bullhorn trident in his hand, and wore battle armor. He was ferocious and powerful. He roared at Li Xing, "Get out of the way immediately. If something happens to young mistress again, I will not spare you." Li Xing looked at Zhang Xiong and responded without showing any weakness. "Zhang Xiong, don't be so arrogant. I care more about Lan Xin than you do. It's just that the land of blood evil has lost 2 wardens' lives. No one will stop you if you go in alone. But if you bring the generals in, we can't follow you. You keep saying that you like Miss Lan Xin. I think you're a coward. No wonder Miss Lan Xin doesn't like you." Zhang Xiong retorted. After a pause, he said, "Today, even if Deputy Warden Lai Feng is here, he won't be able to stop me." Zhang Xiong rushed to the blood pit with a dozen riders. Lai Ziying and the others were ready to fight with Zhang Xiong. Zhang Xiong was the fourth master in the prison field. Otherwise, how could he be the mayor of the first district? The cow-horn trident in his hand released a blazing light, and with a sharp force, it stabbed toward Li Ziying angrily. Lai Ziying was not weak, but compared with Zhang Xiong, he was far behind. Seeing Zhang Xiong so fierce, he was scared and quickly dodged. The others rushed forward to meet the attack, but they were all shaken out of their hands by the force of Zhang Xiong's fork. It was difficult for them to stop Zhang Xiong's footsteps. If Zhang Xiong really wanted to start a massacre, only death would await them. Just before Zhang Xiong and his men rushed into the blood pit, a figure swept over. He soared into the sky and leaped into the air. A majestic sword force slashed down at Zhang Xiong. Zhang Xiong's reaction was extremely fast. He reacted at the first moment. He lifted his ox horn, trying to block the attack. Ding-dang! As the weapons clashed, a crisp sound rang out, and sparks flew in all directions. Zhang Xiong almost fell off the bull demon's back from this sword strike. It was enough to show how powerful this person was. Zhang Xiong, you dare to disobey my orders? Lai Feng's face darkened as he questioned Zhang Xiong. Zhang Xiong frowned and said, Deputy Warden, I'm just concerned about the young lady's safety. Lan Xian, this child is impulsive. Don't tell me that you're going to be impulsive as well. Right now, your responsibility is to protect the first district. That place is filled with felons. If you let them escape, your punishment won't be small. Lai Feng said coldly. Are we just going to watch her get into trouble? You could do it, but I can't. Zhang Xiong argued. If that's the case, then you go in alone. You're not allowed to bring anyone else to their deaths. Lai Feng said coldly. All right, I'll go alone. Zhang Xiong hesitated for a moment. Then he looked back at the others and said, You guys go back first. I will definitely be able to rescue the young lady safely. After saying that, Zhang Xiong went into the blood pit alone. Lai Feng watched Zhang Xiong enter the pit and sneered in his heart. Do you really think you can compare with Wan Tianlong and Zhao Changdao? You're too naive. Father, isn't this against the rules? Li Ziying stepped forward and said, Let him be. He's also loyal. We can't disappoint him. You guys guard this place well. I've already sent an eagle back to report to the Imperial Court. It won't be long before the Imperial Court sends someone to suppress this place. I just hope that there won't be any strange movements during this period of time. Lai Feng said to Li Ziying and the others present. Zhang Xiong entered the blood pit and was attacked by the blood evil spirits like the others. Fortunately, he was already prepared. He had a spirit-cleansing pill in his mouth to protect his mind from being invaded by the evil spirits. Zhang Xiong rushed very quickly without any delay. It didn't take long for him to arrive at the place where Wan Lanxin was. When he saw that Wan Lanxin was safe and sound, he was relieved. He called out, Young lady, come with me. It's not good to stay here for long. After Wan Lanxin saw who it was, she opened her red lips slightly and said, Uncle Zhang, I can't go yet. It's really dangerous here. I saw Deputy Warden Zhao being killed with my own eyes. What's the use of you staying here? Why don't I go to the blood pit and see if the warden is alive? Zhang Xiong said. Wan Lanxin stopped Zhang Xiong and said, Uncle Zhang, don't go. Little brother Wu should be able to do it. Little brother Wu? Which little brother Wu? Zhang Xiong was puzzled. Then he looked at the blood altar not far away. He found a young man sitting there with his legs crossed, absorbing the blood evil qi. He was still safe and sound. He was really surprised. Can this young man really do it? Uncle Zhang, just wait here with me. If he can't do it, there shouldn't be anyone who can. Wan Lanxin said calmly. Yang Wu didn't need the jade umbrella to be able to withstand the blood evil spirits. If he couldn't do it, she really didn't know who else could. Zhang Xiong didn't say anything more. He sat down beside Wan Lanxin and quietly waited for the result. Yang Wu, in front of the blood pit, absorbed a large amount of blood evil spirits. His peach core, Dantian, was constantly transforming, forming a strong life force to nourish Yang Wu's corroded, seriously injured areas. This repeated endlessly, causing Yang Wu's limbs, organs, meridians, and bones to be imperceptibly tempered. Their toughness was no longer comparable to the past. Yang Wu sat here for a day and a night. The blood evil spirits were still endless, but there was no more interference from the blood hands. He didn't know what was going on. Yang Wu could only be in a stalemate with the blood evil spirits. His skin and flesh were still corroded, but he didn't want to delay any longer. He stood up and walked toward the blood pit. He really made it! Wan Lanxin exclaimed with joy. For the entire day and night, she had been watching Yang Wu all the time, fearing that something might have happened to him. Zhang Xiong, who was standing to the side, was also extremely shocked. According to his observation, this young man didn't seem to rely on any spiritual objects to resist the blood evil spirits. He only used his pure physical body to adapt. This was incredible. With their strength in the general realm, they had no way to resist the blood evil spirits. However, this young man hadn't reached the general realm. Yang Wu didn't answer. He came to the earth spirit spring and felt waves of power coming from it. Just as he was wondering, Zhang Xiong's voice rang out. Boy, that's the earth spirit spring. Drink it quickly. It will be of great benefit to you. The earth spirit spring was a natural spirit spring. It was very beneficial to the human body. It could wash the marrow and open the meridians, strengthen the physique, and increase strength. At the same time, it could also heal injuries. It had extraordinary effects and was very rare. Yang Wu had read about it in books and knew the effects of the earth spirit spring. Without saying a word, he held up the earth spirit spring and drank it. This kind of heaven and earth spirit spring was hard to come by unless one was lucky. He wouldn't miss it. After the earth spirit spring entered his mouth, the sweet taste filled his mouth. Soon, wisps of power entered his abdomen. A refreshing and comfortable feeling was produced, and the hunger in his dantian instantly attacked him. Yang Wu immediately ran the supreme 9 mysteries formula and quickly channeled the power into his dantian. The 1,000 holes of the peach core produced a strong suction force and sucked all the earth spirit spring into it. When the earth spirit spring entered the peach core, the 1,000 holes of the peach core seemed to be swallowing clouds and spitting out mist. Waves of multicolored light burst out, looking divine and holy. If Yang Wu could look inside himself, he would find that the space in his dantian was rapidly expanding. If the original space of the peach core dantian was only the size of a thumb, then it was now the size of a fist. It was rapidly expanding towards the size of a human head. The amount of mystical qi that it had to absorb was changing by tens or even hundreds of times. The dantian was the foundation of a martial artist. The size of the dantian space determined one's achievements. Some people were born with a small dantian and were destined to have a narrow dantian. However, some people were born with a wide dantian and could absorb much more qi than others. Naturally, their achievements would be greater. In a martial artist of the same realm, with 2 dantians of different sizes, whose fighting power and endurance were stronger was obvious at a glance. Yang Wu's cultivation talent was not bad, but compared to a first-class genius like Wan Lanxin, he was still far from it. However, it was different now. Since the peach core became his new dantian, he was destined to be extraordinary. Now that he had the earth spirit yuan to completely activate the magic of the peach core, it was even more extraordinary. As the dantian grew larger, the qi also grew larger. The 12 principal meridians shook repeatedly, and the sound of arrows came wave after wave. The sound was clear and audible. In an instant, it had reached the strength of 19 stones, which was the peak of a top-grade martial weapon. It was only a step away from the warrior realm. This kid is actually just a martial weapon. Zhang Xiong's hearing was amazing. After hearing Yang Wu's strange sound, he exclaimed softly. It was hard for him to imagine how a small martial weapon could withstand such a strong blood evil qi. Wan Lanxin was happy for Yang Wu. She swore in her heart, when this is over, I will find a way to let Brother Wu get rid of his identity as a prison slave. However, at this moment, the blood hand appeared in the blood altar again. Wan Lanxin and Zhang Xiong's expressions both changed. Chapter 27. The bloody hand was formed by the blood evil qi and had already reached the realm of solidification. It was not an ordinary blood, evil qi. Otherwise, how could it have crushed Zhao Changdao and captured Wan Tianlong? In addition to the evil warding bead, Wan Tianlong also had a broken king armor. If not for that, he would have been a dead soul in the hands of the bloody hand. Yang Wu was in the stage of increasing his strength, and his body was also rapidly recovering. At this juncture, the bloody hand suddenly appeared. It really came at the right time. Brother Wu, quickly retreat. The bloody hand has appeared again. Wan Lanxin could not help but exclaim. Zhang Xiong tightened the mace in his hand. He was already prepared to protect Wan Lanxin and leave at any time. At this moment, Yang Wu suddenly assumed a strange posture. He stood on his feet, his back arched like a dragon, and he was as calm as a turtle. One of his hands formed a palm, and the other clenched into a fist. The 1,000 holes in his dantian exploded. The energy that had just been absorbed from the Earth Spirit spring instantly rushed out through the 12 ratios and those acupoints. Kacha! There was an inexplicable meridian that was quietly connected under the impact of this energy, causing the impact to become incomparably majestic. The energy contained within increased by several times, or even more than 10 times. Dragon Turtle Sea Turning Technique. This strange technique had long been deeply ingrained in Yang Wu's mind. He had also been practicing hard. Because of the Supreme 9 Mysteries formula, he had already comprehended the mysteries of the Dragon Turtle Water Suppressing stance. It also allowed him to figure out the form of this strange technique as a martial soldier. Now that he had encountered the Earth Spirit Spring, his dantian expanded, his Xin Qi was abundant, and his strength soared. The Dragon Turtle and the Earth Spirit Spring formed a natural momentum, forcing out a shocking attack. His palm and fist were like a dragon turtle emerging from the sea. Waves surged, sweeping the sky with astonishing power. Bang! After the condensed, bloody hand collided with the dragon turtle, a burst of dull sound was immediately heard. The blood evil qi scattered in all directions, and the dragon turtle collapsed. Yang Wu directly fell into the Earth Spirit Spring. In a pool of blood dyed the Earth Spirit Spring red. Wan Lanxin was about to rush forward with her spear, but Zhang Xiong stopped Wan Lanxin and prevented her from going forward. "Miss, let's go." Zhang Xiong looked like a reckless man on the surface, but in fact he was not. Otherwise, he would not have become Wan Lanxin's #1 confidant. He would not have watched Wan Lanxin die. "Uncle Zhang, I must save him," Wan Lanxin said firmly. At this time, a person rushed out from the Earth Spirit Spring, quickly heading towards the blood altar. "Come on, this Viscount can't be killed." Yang Wu roared. The power of the attack just now was not to be underestimated. Although Yang Wu had made a stunning attack and offset a lot of the power, there was still an extremely powerful force that seriously injured him. However, the Peach Core Dantian had absorbed a large amount of Earth Spirit Spring water, and the power from the 1,000 holes had an extremely powerful healing ability, allowing him to quickly recover. Only then did he have the strength to stand up again. At this time, there seemed to be immortal qi rising in his body. His skin, muscles, and internal organs were all rapidly recovering. He could be said to have an immortal body. Under the onslaught of these forces, his special meridian was the most active. From the beginning to the end, the power it channeled continuously broke through more than 10 acupoints. Originally, he had only broken through 16 acupoints, but now he had broken through 30 acupoints. Every single one of them flickered like a star. It was truly extraordinary. Opening acupoints was a symbol of becoming a warrior, but that was only one aspect. The most important aspect was that the acupoints were like spirals. Yang Wu already possessed these two characteristics, but he still had not taken the step of becoming a warrior. There was no other reason other than the fact that his 12 principal meridians had not reached the stage of resonating 20 times and resonating with his acupoints. Meridians and acupoints were the foundation of a warrior's cultivation. Connecting the body's internal organs and digging out the human body's infinite potential, the resonance of the meridians and acupoints was a qualitative change in the body. Yang Wu's acupoints did not resonate, but first opened a strange meridian. His strength became incomparably powerful, not inferior to any warrior. With his current strength, it was not difficult for him to lift a cauldron of strength. The strength of 100 stones was equivalent to a cauldron of strength, and a beginner warrior only had 50 stones of strength. His strength of 100 stones was comparable to the strength of a mid-level warrior. Once this meridian was opened, Yang Wu's hearing and vision ability was a great deal higher than that of a normal meridian. He rushed past the bones and landed in the blood altar. The terrifying blood aura surrounded him, wanting to corrode his body into dregs. Yang Wu's body already had the ability to resist, and the blood aura only became an energy supplement for his peach core dantian. Yang Wu did not have the time to refine this power. His gaze fell on the two figures in the blood aura, and his eyes were full of shock. He saw a person sitting cross-legged. This person was so thin that only skin and bones were left. He could vaguely see the crystalline skeleton. Streaks of blood-red power crisscrossed his body, locking him tightly. There was no life floating on his body, and it looked like he had been dead for a long time. The other person was lying on the ground. He was wearing armor, and there was an evil warding bead between his eyebrows. This bead had already dimmed a lot, and this person had been invaded by the blood aura, and his life force had dropped to the extreme. Who else could it be but Wan Tianlong? Uncle Wan. Yang Wu had seen Wan Tianlong several years ago, and naturally recognized him at a glance. He wanted to save him, but he found that his body could not move. How could this be? Yang Wu's body stiffened as he exclaimed. He felt an incomparably strong willpower pressing down on his body. It was as if a mountain had descended, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. Yang Wu kept struggling. He used the dragon turtle water suppressing stance to break free from this restraint, but it was still useless. Yang Wu quickly circulated the highest 9 mysteries formula crazily. He wanted to use the combination of the highest 9 mysteries formula and the dragon turtle water suppressing stance to bring him some changes. In this blood altar, he felt an extremely obvious calling power from the blood altar. He hoped that there would be a turn for the better. Could it be that this blood altar has mysterious essence qi? Yang Wu guessed in his heart. Yang Wu still did not know how to obtain the highest 9 mysteries formula. He only knew that in order to cultivate the highest 9 mysteries formula to the advanced stage, or even perfect stage, 9 different and rare mysterious essence qi were needed. Each mysterious essence qi was an incomparably rare power between heaven and earth. Now, the highest 9 mysteries formula made him feel a calling. Other than the mysterious essence qi, he could not think of anything else. At present, he was cultivating the introductory chapter of the highest 9 mysteries formula, which was at most comparable to the Soldier Realm formula. Although it was already extraordinary, if he could not obtain a mysterious essence qi to advance the highest 9 mysteries formula, then he might stop at the Soldier Realm, and it would be difficult for him to take another step into the General Realm. It could be said that the formula determined the future and fate of a martial artist. Yang Wu crazily circulated the highest 9 mysteries formula. He absorbed the blood qi around him. Firstly, he wanted to resist the terrifying pressure, and secondly, he wanted to confirm the judgment in his heart. Under the blood altar, a different kind of power was slowly transmitted and began to seep into Yang Wu's body. This kind of power did not directly make Yang Wu advance, but it made the highest 9 mysteries formula circulate faster. The skinny man who was locked in the blood array suddenly opened his eyes in anger. 2 sharp blade-like eyes directly shot towards Yang Wu, as if he wanted to directly tear Yang Wu apart. It made him feel unbearably painful, and the profound formula also stopped circulating. Are you a human or a ghost? Yang Wu did not dare to look directly at him and said in surprise, "Boy, help me get out of this trap, and I will give you an opportunity." The skinny man's voice was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears, as if he had not spoken for many years. "I can't even protect myself at this moment. How can I help you get out of this trap?" Yang Wu said with a wry smile. He was sure that the skinny man in front of him was not dead, and he was curious about what level of expert this man was to be able to survive in such a harsh environment. Just as Yang Wu finished speaking, he discovered that his body could actually move. In here, if I want you to live, you live. If I want you to die, you die. Just like that guy who is already about to die. The skinny man said coldly. Yang Wu instantly understood that the pressure on his body was a good thing for this skinny man, but he could not produce the slightest bit of anger in his heart. Just as he said, life and death here were decided with a single thought. He did not dare to have the slightest bit of doubt. How can I save you? Yang Wu asked. Break this blood fiend array, and I can naturally escape. The skinny man said. This boy's strength is meager. How can he break the array? You are not afraid of the blood fiend, so you already have the ability to break the array. Then you first tell me how to break the array. Go to the southly position, 3 feet and 3 from the ground, and take the array core's demon core. Go to the northkin position, 3 feet and 3 from the ground, and take the array core's high-grade profound spirit stone. The blood fiend array was an extraordinary array. To be able to set up this kind of array, one had to be a first-rate array master. The skinny man had been locked here for who knew how many years. Through his own senses, he slowly found the positions of several arrays. He told Yang Wu one by one, hoping that Yang Wu could use this to break the array. After Yang Wu heard everything, he felt a headache coming on because the skinny man told him a total of 81 positions. He was a bit hard to distinguish between north, south, east, and west, and did not know what to do. Yang Wu did not act rashly. He knew that this skinny man was definitely not a good person. He would kill people at the slightest provocation. Once he saved him, what would happen? Thus, his eyes moved slightly, and a plan came to his mind. It's not hard for me to help you break the array, but you have to agree to 3 conditions first. Chapter 28. Skin and Bones was angry. Yang Wu once again felt the powerful pressure pressing down on him. His body was pressed into the shape of a bow, and he could break at any time. You dare to talk about conditions with this king? The skinny man's intimidating eyes fell on Yang Wu's body as he faintly said. Yang Wu had a stubborn expression. Here, if you want me to live, I will live. If you want me to die, I will die. If you don't have any conditions, only death awaits me after I save you. Since that's the case, you can kill me now. Let's see who else can break the formation for you. Yang Wu could be considered to have grasped skin and bones' weakness. There was an endless amount of evil blood chi here, and only kings could approach. However, if a king came with his current strength, he would only be at the mercy of others. This was an extremely contradictory situation. I never thought that I would need to negotiate with a mere martial soldier. How despicable! Skin and Bones shouted unwillingly. After a pause, he released a strong, evil blood chi and shouted, Damn evil child king! He trapped me here for 200 years. Once I escape, I will definitely kill him. Yang Wu naturally did not know what was going on. The pressure he was under right now was too great. He activated the Supreme 9 Mysteries mantra and the Dragon Turtle Water Suppressing Stance at the same time, and a large amount of Earth Spirit spring water was absorbed under his feet. The 12 principal meridians, 1 extraordinary meridian, and the 30 acupoints in his body began to ring at the same time. Whirlpool. The principal meridians and the sound were like arrows. The acupoints turned into cyclones and spun wildly. The sound arrows and cyclones intertwined, forming a different kind of sound. The vibrations became even more intense, as if his body was undergoing a transformation and sublimation. It was extremely shocking. While the principal meridians and acupoints were ringing, countless evil blood chi surged into his body. Below the blood altar, there were strands of a different kind of power that combined with the Supreme 9 Mysteries mantra, increasing the speed of circulation. The peach cord Dantian's devouring power became even more shocking, and a small portion of the evil blood chi in the entire blood altar was devoured by him. This scene caused the skinny man to be shocked. This brat has a special technique that allows him to devour blood fiend chi. Could he be the successor of the House of Blood Fiend? What kind of vision did the skinny man have? With just a glance, he saw through Yang Wu's situation. In his heart, he had a greater chance of escaping. There were many special techniques in the world. However, other than some rare, evil techniques, it was hard to find those that could absorb and refine the blood qi. The House of Blood Fiend was one of the Great Xia Empire's main powers. They did not belong to the Great Xia Empire and were rather distant from the Great Xia Empire. They were one of the 6 sects and were equally as famous as Mauname, which was located at the borders of the Great Xia Empire. How would Yang Wu know about the Blood Fiend sect? Everything was because of the exalted 9 profound arts and the peach core pill. Otherwise, he would have died after inhaling the Blood Fiend qi. Yang Wu felt wonderful. He really did not expect that he would enter the warrior realm at this moment and break through the realm that he had not reached before. The energy in his body was boundless. That special meridian acted as the link between the 12 standard meridians, acupoints, and the Dan. It allowed the Xian Qi to circulate at an incomparably smooth speed. The explosive power would multiply. Other than that, he already felt that his Xian Qi could break out of his body at any time. He had reached the stage where his Xian Qi could break out of his body. These were the characteristics of the warrior realm. Bag of Bones removed the pressure, but he was quite depressed in his heart. He felt that Yang Wu wanted to break through the warrior realm because of him. Otherwise, he would need at least some time to adjust before he could take this crucial step. After a while, Yang Wu raised his head and looked at Skin and Bones. He cupped his hands and smiled. "Thank you, Senior, for your help." Although Skin and Bones wanted to harm him, he was in a good mood and did not care about those unhappiness. Even if you break through, you're still just a small warrior. I can still take your life as easily as slaughtering a chicken or a dog. Skin and Bones snorted unhappily. "Senior, you're right. However, if I were to die, no one would be able to save you," Yang Wu said confidently. He didn't wait for the Bag of Bones to speak and continued. "The 3 conditions I want aren't difficult. First, you can't kill me after I rescue you. Second, you can protect me for a period of time. Third, you can release Uncle Juan. These 3 conditions should be as easy as flipping your hand for you, right? Good idea. The first and third are up to you. The second is not likely," Skin and Bones said coldly. "Why not the second?" Yang Wu asked unwillingly. "Because you are not worthy," Skin and Bones sneered. Yang Wu instantly felt 10,000 points of damage. He shouted in his heart, "I'm a dignified Viscount. How am I not worthy?" He only dared to shout these words in his heart. He did not dare to say it out loud. He was not afraid that he would really be killed. "Then let's die together. I am just a prison slave, anyway. Death is not to be regretted," Yang Wu said very straightforwardly. Skin and Bones' eyes became even colder. He did not want to talk nonsense with Yang Wu. He said, "I will teach you an emperor's skill as a reward. The first and third are up to you." "Okay, deal," Yang Wu agreed without thinking. Originally, he wanted a free bodyguard to protect him for a period of time so that he could cultivate in peace. But since the other party was not willing, he could not do anything. However, to be able to exchange for an emperor's skill was definitely a big gain. Emperor skills could be counted on one hand in the empire. Only Mauname had it, but that was a place of immortals. Ordinary people could not enter at all. As for Skin and Bones, no matter how you looked at it, he was an unparalleled master. Even though he was trapped here, he could easily take down a top general like Wan Tianlong. He was definitely an emperor-level master. It should be true that he could take out an emperor's skill. Since you've agreed, hurry up and break the formation, Skin and Bones urged. "Let Uncle Juan go first. Otherwise, if he dies here, our agreement will be void," Yang Wu said again. Skin and Bones did not say anything. He snorted coldly and a force enveloped Wan Tianlong, directly throwing him out of the blood altar. After Wan Tianlong was thrown out, Yang Wu used all his strength and shouted, "Sister Lanxin, take Uncle Juan out first. I still have some things to do. Do not let anyone near here. Otherwise, their lives will be in danger. Remember. Wan Lanxin and Zhang Xiong, who were outside the blood altar, heard Yang Wu's words. They also saw Wan Tianlong fall from the sky. Without thinking, they went to catch Wan Tianlong. Father, Warden! Wan Lanxin and Zhang Xiong cried out in surprise. When they found that Wan Tianlong was still alive, their faces were filled with joy. Wan Lanxin even took out a healing pill and fed it to Wan Tianlong. Uncle Zhang, take my father out to treat his injuries immediately, Wan Lanxin said to Zhang Xiong. Zhang Xiong said, Miss, you should go out with us. Didn't that brat say that we should go out together? No, I want to wait for him. Wan Lanxin showed a determined expression. Then, I'm sorry. After Zhang Xiong said this, he raised his hand and hit Wan Lanxin on the back of her neck, knocking her out. He took her and Wan Tianlong out of the blood pit. He did not forget to leave a message for Yang Wu, saying, Brat, hang in there. If you die, I will burn more paper money for you. Zhang Xiong was worthy of being called an ambitious person. He did things decisively without the slightest bit of sloppiness. He quickly left the blood pit. In the blood altar, Yang Wu began to break the array. The Tao of array was a strange Tao. It was difficult for ordinary people to understand. The theory was complicated and mysterious. To learn it, not only must one have enough energy and patience, but more importantly, one must have outstanding talent. Otherwise, it would be difficult to achieve good results in one's lifetime. Yang Wu had never come into contact with arrays. Naturally, he did not know the mystery of this underground array. He only walked in the direction that bag of bones said, then used the tiger fang blade in his hand to start digging. Once the array core was broken, the array would naturally be unraveled one by one. However, Bag of Bones did not tell him the location of each array core. Every array core was protected by a restrictive power. Once disturbed, these restrictive power would automatically counterattack. When Yang Wu dug about 2 feet, the tiger fang blade stabbed into a group of restrictive power. His whole body was bounced back. Puff! Yang Wu's blade flew out of his hand. Blood spurted out. His body was sent flying 2 meters away. It was as if he was hit by an expert. It made him feel as if his whole body was falling apart. Trash! Bag of Bones cursed in dissatisfaction. Yang Wu was lying on the ground. He miserably said, Senior, if you have the ability, then break it yourself. I'll do it myself. After Bag of Bones responded, a majestic blood chi condensed and swept towards Yang Wu. Yang Wu was controlled by the blood chi. His hands involuntarily held the blade and once again slashed towards the array core. Don't! Yang Wu did not have any room to resist. His body was sent flying. If he directly slashed at the array core, the restrictive power would shake him to death. Bang! Yang Wu seemed to be possessed by Bag of Bones. The power of the 2 slashes increased by who knows how many times. After heavily slashing at the array core, a burst of shocking sound rang out. A tyrannical blade mark was left at that location. Yang Wu's arms were shaken to the point of bursting with blood. He felt as if he was going to be crippled. Yang Wu's bones were in pain. He screamed again and again. However, Bag of Bones did not care. He once again controlled him to slash at another array core. The tragic Yang Wu had become a puppet. One could imagine how miserable his fate would be. Chapter 29. Zhang Xiong brought Wan Tianlong and Wan Lanxin out of the blood pit, which shocked all the wardens and wardens. They all thought that Wan Tianlong was dead for sure. Many of them had seen Wan Tianlong being captured by the bloody hand. The terrifying blood chi was something that only a king could withstand. Wan Tianlong was not a king, so in everyone's eyes, he was already dead. Lai Feng had already begun to control everything in the mountain prison. In his heart, he was already thinking of becoming the true warden. Seeing that Wan Tianlong was still alive, he was very unhappy. Lai Feng did not have the guts to kill Wan Tianlong in front of everyone. He could not bear such a crime. When he found out that it was all because of Wan Lanxin's so-called god-brother, he immediately ordered people to investigate the young man's background. He did not understand where such a person had come from. At that moment, the blood pit made a series of shocking explosions. Large areas of the ground were caved in, scaring the wardens into retreating. Those who could not retreat in time fell into the blood pit. Instantly, there was a commotion. The blood pit is expanding again. There's a lot of blood chi coming out. Everyone retreat. Don't fall into the blood pit. Sir, what should we do? If this continues, the 8th district will be destroyed. A monster has appeared. We must ask the imperial court for help. Yang Wu did not know what was happening outside. He was already in a terrible state. His whole body was about to dissipate at any moment. It was too painful. 49 out of the 81 formation eyes were broken by him. His arms were broken by the power of the formation eyes, and his flesh was badly mangled. His internal organs were all displaced, and he was bleeding profusely. His 7 acupoints were also bleeding profusely. It was a tragic sight. He was inhaling more than he was exhaling. Yang Wu could no longer hold the knife. Skinny did not control Yang Wu to do this, because he had broken enough formation eyes. His skinny eyes exuded a thick aura of viciousness. A powerful suction force was generated from his body, and the prison guards who fell in were all killed by the blood chi he controlled. Many of the blood chi were forcefully absorbed by him, quickly increasing his blood chi. His body gained a little more strength, and his body became slightly more majestic. He laughed wildly and shouted, "This king is going to break free today." Skinny struggled with all his strength. The blood formation chains binding him broke one by one. Bang! Bang! When the blood formation chains broke, the blood altar also began to collapse. Yang Wu had already been blasted to a state worse than death by the power of the formation eyes. When the blood altar fell, he also fell down. Skinny did not have the time to pay attention to him. Clearly, he had completely forgotten the 3 conditions he had promised. The blood evil spirit array was not completely broken, and the strength of the emaciated man had not completely recovered. He kept struggling, and after breaking 72 blood array chains, there were still 9 blood array chains left. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not break free. Break! Break! Skinny used all his strength, causing the ground around him to crack. The falling rocks shattered, but unfortunately, he was still unable to break the 9 blood formation chains. These 9 blood formation chains were the true core power. They constricted his already thin body to the point that his bones were exposed. Skinny roared unwillingly, "Evil Child King, when I get out, I swear I'll kill you even if I have to search to the ends of the earth." Yang Wu fell to the bottom of the blood altar. It was like there was a layer separating him from the upper layer. There was no blood demon chi at the bottom, but there was a rare treasure growing here. This rare treasure was very strange. It looked like a pure white lotus, but upon closer inspection, it did not look like one. The shape of the petals was completely different. There were a total of 108 petals, and each petal had sparkling dewdrops that emitted a pleasant fragrance. The most peculiar thing was that there was a ball of essence that looked like a baby's face in the core of the flower. The baby's face sometimes looked like it was smiling, sometimes it looked like it was crying, and sometimes it looked like it was angry. All kinds of expressions were constantly changing. It was truly magical. When Yang Wu's remaining consciousness caught a glimpse of the baby's face, he cried out involuntarily, "Prenatal Mystic Essence Chi." Prenatal Mystic Essence Chi was the first type of Mystic Essence Chi that the 9 Supremes Mysteries tactics needed. Swallowing it could allow the 9 Supremes Mysteries tactics to advance, allowing one to cultivate to a higher realm. When Yang Wu obtained the 9 Supremes Mysteries tactics, he already had the appearance of 9 completely different types of Mystic Essence Chi in his mind. He could recognize them once he saw them. Now, he finally understood why he had the feeling of being summoned after entering the blood pit. It turned out that the prenatal Mystic Essence Chi was born here. This prenatal Mystic Essence Chi was like a newborn baby. They had just come out of the placenta and contained the innate Mystic Essence Chi of the human body. The rare treasure in front of him condensed the innate Mystic Essence Chi, so it was extraordinary. He focused his gaze and found that there were many young bones under this rare treasure. Basically, they were not complete, and most of them had even decayed. However, he could vaguely guess that hundreds and thousands of babies had died here. Yang Wu sobered up a lot, and a burst of anger rushed to his head. For words appeared in his mind. Crazy. Indeed, every one of them was a young baby. Who did they provoke when they were just born? They were actually captured and killed here. What else could it be but crazy? At this moment, the Nine Supremes' mysteries tactics was running wildly, and a majestic devouring power was swallowing the prenatal mystic essence chi of the rare treasure. This was a kind of original attraction. The Nine Supremes' mysteries tactics was incomplete, and it required 9 different types of mystic essence chi to reach perfection. The prenatal mystic essence chi could only make up for one of them, but it was also an indispensable power. The rare treasure felt its power being swallowed and began to sway. It wanted to control the mystic essence chi, which it had spent many years to condense. How could it just give it away? Unfortunately, no matter how strange the rare treasure was, it was just a plant. How could it compare with the devouring power of the Nine Supremes' mysteries tactics? The prenatal mystic essence chi was absorbed into Yang Wu's body, and it wrapped around Yang Wu. Wisps of incomparably pure mystic essence chi seeped into his body through his pores. The Nine Supremes' mysteries tactics merged with the prenatal mystic essence chi and began to carry out a new round of transformation on Yang Wu's body. The prenatal mystic essence chi gathered the vitality of countless babies, and it made up for any defects in Yang Wu's congenital body, making it perfect. Layers of skin fell off, revealing new tender skin. His internal organs and blood chi soared in an instant, exuberant to an unimaginable degree. His bone marrow was also quenched and became incomparably tough. As for the 12 meridians, one of the open mystic meridians and the acupoints, they were all expanded, becoming bigger and tougher, and the flowing power was even more majestic and powerful. If the 12 meridians were like small streams in the past, then they were like surging rivers now. If the acupoints were like fireflies in the past, then they were like real twinkling stars now. It was a real transformation. The peach stone dantian was also unwilling to be silent. It continued to grow bigger, and the thousands of acupoints were puffing out clouds, becoming more and more holy and extraordinary. Yang Wu was immersed in this wonderful feeling. The injuries on his body healed quickly, and his strength increased rapidly. Many of his acupoints were opened, and a total of 49 acupoints were opened. His meridians and acupoints rang at the same time, and his aperture chi was like a vortex moving crazily. He reached the intermediate warrior realm in one fell swoop. It could be said that Yang Wu had jumped 2 levels in a row after entering the blood pit, which was comparable to his previous years of cultivation. Yang Wu did not know how long it had been before he completely woke up. Everything had become exceptionally clear to him by several times, or even more than 10 times. The spiritual power of the divine court was also incomparably full. It was as if he could sense everything that was happening 2 or 3 miles away without using his eyes. The spiritual power of the divine court was awe-inspiring. It could be seen in all directions, and there was nowhere to hide. The chi in the dantian and the spiritual power of the divine court complemented each other. One of them was only the inferior way, and the combination of the two was the real superior way. Yang Wu could feel that the skinny man was struggling on the blood altar. There were still 9 blood chains on his body that had not been broken, which made him feel greatly relieved. He thought proudly in his heart, "This guy's not a good person. It seems that I'm still naive." Yang Wu ignored the skinny man for the time being and looked at the lotus-like treasure. After losing the primordial chi of essence, it became dim, and its 108 petals began to wither. Obviously, it could not survive. Just as Yang Wu was feeling a little regretful, he discovered that there were still 108 flower seeds in the flower core that were emitting a sparkling light. It seemed that they still contained extraordinary power. Without thinking, he collected all of the flower seeds and kept them close to him. Something that can be born from the primordial chi of essence must be extraordinary, Yang Wu said to himself. Finally, his gaze fell on the bottom of the ground, where there were streams of even purer earth spirit spring water flowing. The purity of the earth spirit spring water was not something the outside could compare to. He realized that perhaps this was the real earth spirit spring water. The Earth Spirit spring water outside was just a diluted version and could not be compared to this. I can't miss this kind of Earth Spirit spring. I have to collect some and bring it out. Yangwu looked around and found an abandoned jade bottle not far away. He ran over and picked it up. Finding that the jade bottle was not damaged, he took it back and collected a large bottle of Earth Spirit spring. Next, he thought about how to get out. Now, it was not difficult for him to get out of this lower level. The difficult part was how to avoid the poisonous hands of the skinny man. As he pondered, he found that there was a formation energy flashing under the baby's skeleton. It formed 9 blood chains that connected to the top. It must be the key to trapping the skinny man. Yangwu walked over and dug up the nearby area. He saw a huge piece of Xian spirit stone that was about to crack. It was entangled with the formation patterns in the surroundings. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that this was the real formation core. Yangwu thought for a moment, and his face showed a determined expression. He thought to himself, this formation core is about to break. It won't be able to seal that old guy for long. I have to gamble with him again. Thus, he shouted, Senior, I found the real formation core. I can save you. Chapter 30. Yangwu said this because he had no other choice. If he wanted to leave this place, he couldn't avoid being a bag of bones. Moreover, this formation core wouldn't last for much longer. When the bag of bones heard Yangwu's voice, he immediately said with joy, Really? Really? As long as Senior swears an oath to never harm me again, I can definitely save you. Yangwu replied, Brat, you still dare to negotiate with me? The bag of bones angrily rebuked. Senior, you've been trapped here for many years, so you must have accumulated resentment in your heart for a long time. You should be thinking about revenge at all times. Now that you can escape, the mountain prison must have already notified the imperial court. When the time comes, they will definitely send a king. At that time, even if Senior isn't killed, you will continue to be a prisoner. Think about it. Is it better to cooperate with me and leave together, or to wait for death here together? Yangwu said confidently. The bag of bones also knew the severity of the situation and said, Brat, I'll do as you say. Quickly break the formation core and help me escape. Senior, I'll only be at ease if you swear an oath. Okay, as long as you help me escape, I will definitely not harm you. If I go back on my words, may I be struck by lightning and die. This oath seems a bit old-fashioned. There's nothing new about it. Then what do you want? Let me think. How about you say it like this? If you don't follow the oath, 18 generations of ancestors will not be able to reincarnate. You won't be able to get an erection, but will have hemorrhoids, your face will be fried, and your body will be infected with syphilis. That should be about it. When the bag of bones heard Yangwu's oath, his already ugly expression became even uglier. What kind of broken oath was this? However, the bag of bones had no choice. He didn't want to delay any longer. Just as Yangwu said, the people outside weren't idiots. They would definitely send reinforcements. At that time, it would be difficult for him to leave. Thus, he could only pinch his nose and swear this oath. When the bag of bones finished swearing, Yangwu said, I hope Senior will keep his word and not be a petty person who doesn't keep his word. These words made the bag of bones' old face heat up. He, a mighty king, was actually mocked by a mere warrior. This was truly a humiliation. Yangwu picked up the tiger fang blade that had fallen with him. He adjusted the power in his body and drove a large amount of pure Xian Qi from his peach core dantian to flow through his entire body. The Xian Qi was like a tidal wave, exploding from the 12 main meridians and that strange meridian. The 49 meridians surged, and the power rushed to his arms like a wild horse. His arms glowed as the power poured into the tiger fang blade. The 8-foot-long blade broke through the air and fiercely chopped down on the damaged Xian Spirit Stone. Bang! A beginner warrior could only attach battle chi to the surface of his body to enhance his defensive power. He had the strength of half a cauldron to 1 cauldron and could force out 1 foot of Xian Qi at most. An intermediate warrior could have the strength of 2 cauldrons to 4 cauldrons and could force out 4 feet of Xian Qi at most. An advanced warrior could have the strength of 5 cauldrons to 10 cauldrons and could force out 10 feet of Xian Qi. A top warrior could have the strength of more than 10 cauldrons and Xian Qi at least 10 feet. Yang Wu had only just entered the realm of an intermediate warrior, but he was already able to chop out Xian Qi that was comparable to that of an advanced warrior. It could be seen that his physique was already incomparable to that of a warrior of the same realm. This time, Yang Wu was once again shaken by the power of the restriction. Even though he was already far enough away, it was still not enough. Fortunately, the situation was much better than before. He was only shaken back a few steps. The web between his thumb and forefinger was a little numb, but it was not a big deal. Yang Wu felt the majestic power in his body. He smiled and raised his strength once again to chop down furiously. The shocking slash was like a tiger's fang, and the Xian Qi pressed on to the 10-foot-long blade light. 1 slash, 2 slashes, 3 slashes. Yang Wu slashed a total of 18 times, but he was still unable to break through this Xian spirit stone that was about to crack. He did not look discouraged at all. Instead, his fighting spirit was even higher. He already knew how to use his newly increased power. At this moment, the dragon turtle water-suppressing stance appeared once again. The supreme 9 mysteries mantra combined with it, and a powerful force condensed. The faint image of a dragon turtle appeared, and the tiger fang saber in his hand slashed out again. The pure white blade light turned into a faint blue light, and a 15-foot-long blade edge was forced out. It was extremely stunning. Bang! The blade was sharp and powerful, and finally broke through the restriction in front of the Xian Spirit Stone. It pierced straight into the Xian Spirit Stone and broke it into pieces. In an instant, all the formation patterns lost their effectiveness at the same time. Many of the formation eyes no longer had any ripples. The surrounding rocks crazily fell, wanting to completely destroy this grotto heaven. The bag of bones above also broke free in an instant. He soared into the sky and released a powerful aura, causing many of the falling rocks to explode. Haha, I, Wang Jiucheng, have finally broken free. Evil Child King, just you wait. When I return to my peak state, I swear I'm not human if I don't kill you. The bag of bones laughed maniacally. However, after he spat out this mouthful of resentment, his body instantly became weak. He was on the verge of collapsing, and he almost fell down. He had been trapped for too long, and he had lost too much blood qi. Even if he absorbed the blood qi of others, it was impossible to make up for his losses. Furthermore, his strength had been greatly reduced, and there was a lot of blood qi that had hurt his foundation. He needed a large amount of blood to replenish himself, and he had to devour a lot of spiritual herbs to return to his peak. At this moment, Yang Wu also charged out from underground. He did not want to be buried alive here. The bag of bones Wang Jiucheng looked at Yang Wu. Yang Wu shrunk his neck and said, "Senior, you swore a poison oath. Don't do anything rash." Even though his current strength was not bad, compared to a true king, it was undoubtedly like hitting a rock with an egg. Carry me out," Wang Jiucheng said with a cold snort. Yang Wu wiped away his doubts and said, "Senior, your divine power is..." Before he could finish, Wang Jiucheng interrupted him again. "If you continue to talk nonsense, do you believe that I won't kill you first?" This time, Yang Wu charged over as if his legs were smeared with oil. He carried Wang Jiucheng on his back and charged out of the blood pit. The formation was broken, the blood pit was destroyed, rocks fell, and the prison was in chaos. The people outside the prison kept retreating. About 1.5 kilometers of the ground had collapsed, and dozens of people were buried alive. The others had retreated to a safe area. Wan Lanxin came to the 8th district again. She had been knocked unconscious by Zhang Xiong 2 days ago. When she woke up, she rushed over to guard Yang Wu. She was wearing a battle armor and looked valiant. She was riding a leopard and holding a war spear. She stood proudly, and her beautiful eyes flashed with worry. She wanted to immediately rush into the blood pit and see if Yang Wu was alive or dead. "Lanxin, your godbrother may not be able to come out." Li Xing appeared beside Wan Lanxin and comforted her softly. When he finished speaking, Wan Lanxin's long spear had already pierced his throat. Li Xing was shocked. He exclaimed, "Lanxin, What do you want to do? If you dare to say anything unlucky again, you and I will fight to the death. Wan Lanxin's eyes were cold, and there was no trace of joke. Li Ziying realized that he had said something wrong, but he didn't feel that he had done anything wrong. He still said, "This place has collapsed, and there are ferocious creatures underground. If he can come out alive, I will write my name upside down." Wan Lanxin didn't waste any more words with Li Ziying. She directly raised her spear and stabbed Li Ziying under her spear. Li Ziying quickly dodged and urged his battle horse to retreat. He shouted with dissatisfaction, "Lanxin, I am sincere to you. Do you really not appreciate it at all? You are not worthy." Wan Lanxin said disdainfully, Okay. Li Ziying wiped away his anger and responded. He thought in his heart, "Don't think that I don't know that the so-called godbrother is a viscount who is sent to prison. He offended a marquis. When the imperial envoy arrives, he will charge you with the crime of covering up. At that time, let's see how you will beg me." At this time, the ground stopped sinking. Wan Lanxin ordered people to start digging. She swore to see Yang Wu. Even if he was dead, she wanted to see his corpse. However, before those people could start digging, rocks flew up from a certain place, and a shadow rushed out. Brother Wu. After Wan Lanxin saw the shadow clearly, her eyes were instantly filled with hot tears. Even if Li Ziying was a fool, he could see that Wan Lanxin's gaze toward Yang Wu was different. The fire of jealousy in his heart became stronger. Yang Wu came out with Wang Jiucheng on his back. The two of them were able to see the light of day again and revealed an expression of incomparable ecstasy. "We are finally out," Yang Wu said with a heavy sigh of relief. If he had not broken through to the warrior realm, he would have been crushed to death by the falling rocks. Of course, Wang Jiucheng also put in a lot of effort. Entering the blood pit this time could be said to be a trip to the gates of hell. Yang Wu would never forget it. Needless to say, Wang Jiucheng had been trapped underground for who knew how many years. It was already a great blessing to be able to see the light of day again. Just as Wan Lanxin was about to go forward and talk to Yang Wu, Li Ziying suddenly opened his mouth and shouted, "Come, arrest the criminal Yang Wu." Chapter 31. Yang Wu did not have time to comfort Wan Lanxin. After hearing Li Ziying shout, his expression froze. Wan Lanxin stopped and stared back at Li Ziying. She reprimanded, "Li Ziying, what do you want? I should be the one asking you that." Li Ziying met Wan Lanxin's gaze and sneered. He paused and said, "Yang Wu is a prisoner in the 68th district. Because he offended a noble, he was stripped of his title of viscount and sent to prison for 10 years. Am I wrong?" Wan Lanxin stared at Li Ziying and replied with guilt, "So what? So what? He should have been in the 68th district, but Lanxin, you shielded him and removed his prison chains. You even brought him to the 8th district. This is not a light crime," Li Ziying said proudly. Then he ordered the jailers around him. "What are you waiting for? Arrest this criminal for me." The 18 jailers immediately stepped out and walked toward Yang Wu. Wan Lanxin shouted, "Let's see who dares." As soon as she finished speaking, the 18 prison guards stopped in their tracks, not daring to move an inch. "Lanxin, do you really want to make a mistake to the end?" Li Ziying asked. "I will explain this matter. You don't have to meddle in other people's business." Wan Lanxin responded strongly. Then she rushed over to Yang Wu and said, "Brother Wu, come with me." Yang Wu hesitated and said, "Mayor Wan, you should take me back to the 68th district. Although you order me to save Warden Wan, I am guilty. Merits cannot offset faults. I don't want to tarnish Mayor Wan's reputation." Yang Wu's mind turned quickly. He had already felt that Li Ziying wanted to use him as a threat. Naturally, he could not let him do as he wished. He quickly changed the way he addressed Wan Lanxin and explained to others that he was here because Wan Lanxin asked him to save Wan Tianlong, not to shield his crimes. He pointed out all the reasons and did not let Li Ziying succeed. Wan Lanxin wanted to say something, but Yang Wu raised his eyebrows. She had no choice but to say softly, "Okay, I'll ask someone to send you back to the 68th section. I believe everyone in the prison will be grateful to you for saving my father's life. You have to distinguish between merits and demerits." "Thank you, Mayor Wan." Yang Wu cupped his hands and replied. Then he looked back at Li Xing and smiled. Uncle, long time no see. Remember to take good care of me. I am leaving. Wan Lanxin called 2 of her trusted jailers over and escorted Yang Wu away. As for the skinny man on Yang Wu's back, no one paid any attention to him. They only thought that he might be a prison slave, trapped in the blood pit. Who would have thought that the skinny man was the culprit in the blood pit? Remember to write your name backwards. Wan Lanxin did not stay any longer. After leaving a sentence expressionlessly to Li Xing, she left. Li Xing could only watch Yang Wu and Wan Lanxin leave. His face became quite ferocious, and the hostility in his eyes was very strong. He had already put Yang Wu on his kill list. 68th District. Since Yang Wu defeated Wang Yan with absolute force, killed Centipede, and took in Fei Lung and Bei Zhe, no one in 68th District dared to go against Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey naturally became the boss of 68th District. Skinny Monkey was seriously injured in the Wolf Demon's disaster. However, with the help of the blood ginseng and the healing pill left by Wan Lanxin, he recovered in just 2 days. His physique was extraordinary, and his strength increased again. He was close to the realm of a high-grade martial soldier. In the next few days, he practiced diligently. He cultivated the first 2 moves of the rainstorm spear technique to the microscopic stage. His strength was completely stimulated, and he reached the strength of 10 stones in one go, entering the realm of a high-grade martial soldier. Even Fei Lung and Bei Zhe could not catch up with such a speed of improvement. Not only that, but the skinny monkey's eyes would also flash with red light from time to time, like fire and lightning, making people unable to look straight at him. At first, he was even more shocked, but later on, he discovered that he could actually see 1,000 miles away, and nothing that was flimsy enough to block his eyesight was able to see through everything. For this, he especially practiced and realized that he could see through stone walls. He could find the position of the red steel stone every time. Only then did he realize that his eyes were extraordinary. This kind of talent was not stable. It worked sometimes, and he did not know how to use it. It made him feel a little scared, and he did not know if it was a good or bad thing. As for Little Man, she was also very amazing. Little Hay gave her various spiritual fruits and herbs from time to time. She left most of them for Yang Wu to share when he came back. She only ate a small part, but her strength increased a lot. Not only that, but there was also a new technique in her mind, 8 Barbarians Celestial Technique. The 8 Barbarian Celestial Technique had a total of 8 layers of heaven and earth. Every layer of heaven and earth increased a layer of brute force and had the power to overturn rivers and seas. After Xiao Man tried to cultivate for a while, she felt that her originally weak body had become much stronger. She could easily lift 100 kilograms of rock with just a raise of her hand, which shocked her. She wondered if she had become a monster. She was even more worried that she would grow a beard. Would her hands and feet become as thick and strong as an ox? Would her waist become like a bear's waist and a tiger's back? When she thought of this, she was so scared that she did not dare to continue cultivating. Little Hay, on the other hand, swayed in front of her every day and called out softly. It was as if it was unhappy that she did not cultivate. It even reduced the amount of spiritual fruits and herbs that it gave her. Little Man did not understand. Why did Little Hay do this? No one noticed the changes in the 2 of them for the time being. Overall, things were progressing in a good direction, but some trouble still came. One of the leaders of the prison slaves, Black Gorilla, already knew that Centipede had been killed. However, because of what happened in the 8th District, the prison slaves were forbidden from crossing districts. Black Gorilla finally found an opportunity to inform his subordinate in the 45th District, Li Futu, to bring people to the 68th District to seek justice for Centipede. Normally, the prison slaves in the higher districts were not allowed to go to the lower districts. Otherwise, it would disrupt the management of the districts. However, there were some rules that could be changed. For example, as long as the prison guard allowed it, it would not be a big deal. On this day, Li Futu handed over enough red steel ores and received permission from the prison guards. He had 1 day to settle the matter in the 60th District. Thus, he brought 8 subordinates with him to the 68th district. Although he did not bring many people with him, every one of them was at least a mid-grade martial soldier. 3 of them were even high-grade martial soldiers, and he himself was at the level of a top-grade martial soldier. He was confident that his strength was enough to wipe out the people in the 68th district. Li Fudu was an average-looking man. He had a crew cut, a strong body, and a vicious look in his eyes. He did not have a crowbar in his hands like the other prison slaves. He brought his subordinates to the 68th district with his bare hands. The 68th district was the lowest of all the prison districts. The prison slaves, they were generally not very good at fighting. Even if there was a fight or a murder, it would not affect the overall situation. The normal prison guards could cover for it. Now that Li Futu and his men had crossed over, the atmosphere here became much more tense. Is this the lower prison slave district? They're all trash. Someone beside Li Futu said disdainfully. Even the prison slaves were divided by him. Isn't that right? Look at how weak they are. It's not bad if they could dig up 1 red steel ores a day. Another prison slave agreed. Stop talking nonsense. Immediately find out who killed Centipede. Finish this quickly and report back to the boss. Li Futu said calmly. Thus, someone attacked the nearby prison slaves and asked them who was the boss of the 68th district. Soon, Li Futu and his men learned of the name Skinny Monkey. They brought their men to look for Skinny Monkey. At this moment, Skinny Monkey was digging for red steel ores with all his might. Yangwood told him that digging for red steel ores was the best way to build his strength. It would allow him to increase his strength quickly. He didn't think of this work as hard labor. Instead, he saw it as a form of training. Other than that, he also wanted to collect 50,000 kilograms of red steel ores for Yangwu. He had collected less than 5,000 kilograms of red steel ores so far, far from 50,000 kilograms. When Skinny Monkey heard from Little Man that Yangwu had been taken away by a beautiful military officer, he knew that Yangwu might not return to the 68th district. But he still insisted on collecting 50,000 kilograms of red steel ores. If Yangwu came back, he would not have to wait. He could directly hand over the red steel ores and leave the mountain prison to join the army of the dead. Skinny Monkey was always thinking about how good Yangwu was, for no other reason than to hear him call him Big Brother. Just as Skinny Monkey was digging, a disdainful voice came from behind him. You trash or Skinny Monkey? Chapter 32. The Skinny Monkey-like figure turned around and saw that he was surrounded by 9 unfamiliar prison slaves. You are? Skinny Monkey asked with a smile, not a hint of panic on his face. You think you can dominate the 68th precinct with your puny body? Looks like Centipede really is trash. Li Futu looked Skinny Monkey up and down and said condescendingly, That's right. How much strength can he have? I can crush him with one hand. The prison slave beside Li Futu mocked. Another prison slave said, We each handed over 50 kilograms of red steel rock to get the chance to cross over. What a waste of talent. Let's just take it as a chance to get some fresh air. These prison slaves didn't take Skinny Monkey seriously at all, pointing at him and commenting on him. At this time, Fei Lung, Bates, and the others who were near Skinny Monkey had already gathered. There were more than 20 people in total, and they knew that the other party was here for their boss. Afraid that something might happen, they quickly pulled out their weapons to deal with it. Li Futu and the others naturally saw the people surrounding them, but there was no fear on their faces. Instead, there was disdain. You all didn't come to find me just to make some sarcastic remarks, did you? Skinny Monkey asked as he straightened his lean and muscular body. He was the boss of the 68th precinct and had reached 10 stones of strength. He had a different aura than before. Hee, I heard that you killed Centipede. Li Futu cut to the chase. So what if I did, and so what if I didn't? Skinny Monkey replied coldly. It doesn't matter if you did or not. Centipede, that trash, is dead. He can only blame himself for not having the ability to take charge of the 68th precinct. Li Futu didn't dwell on the matter, instead brushing it off lightly. After a pause, he said, Since you have the ability to sit on the seat of the 68th district's boss, then from now on, you will be our Black Gorilla boss emissary. From now on, You will have to regularly provide our black gorilla boss with crimson steel ores, and this matter will be settled. Lifutu's murderous aura rose as he finished speaking. The Wuho gang members drew closer and closer. As soon as Skinny Monkey gave the order, the crowbars in their hands would strike mercilessly. Skinny Monkey smiled. Sorry, I'm not interested in the position of Black Gorilla Gang's emissary. Are you refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit? Lifutu frowned. Whatever you say, Skinny Monkey said as he spread out his hands. Emissary, don't waste your breath on him. Let me teach him a lesson, and I believe he will know what to do. A prison slave beside Lifutu said darkly. Who do you think you are? Do you think you're worthy of exchanging blows with our boss? One-armed Fei Lung stood out and shouted. For the past 2 days, Skinny Monkey had been practicing with Fei Lung. At first, he wasn't Fei Lung's match, but after a day, Fei Lung was no longer Skinny Monkey's match. It wasn't that the Skinny Monkey was stronger than him, but that the Skinny Monkey's eyesight was extraordinary. He could see through Fei Lung's flaws with a single glance. As long as the Skinny Monkey wanted to, he could kill Fei Lung in a single move. After a few exchanges, Fei Lung felt like submitting to the Skinny Monkey. Looks like it's time for a fight. Don't think you're all that just because you have more people. In our eyes, you're just a bunch of chickens and pottery dogs. Lifutu said calmly and gestured for the people beside him to attack. The 8 people beside him were all mid-level military soldiers and had fought their way through the 45th district. They were all outlaws and were extremely fierce when they attacked. Fei Lung, Bei Zhe, and the others gave the order, and more than 20 outer prison slaves attacked together. As the boss, Skinny Monkey didn't just stand around. He attacked Lifutu first and used the rainstorm spear technique without mercy. He knew that to defeat the bandits, one had to capture the leader first. If he could take down Lifutu in one move, he wouldn't have to fear the others. Unfortunately, Lifutu was a top-level military soldier and had the strength of 16 stones. He was much stronger than Skinny Monkey, and his attack was nothing in front of him. Lifutu was good at fighting. After he dodged Skinny Monkey's attack, he punched Skinny Monkey's lower ribs hard. Skinny Monkey was forced back a few steps by the punch. He was in so much pain that he almost squatted down. Weak! Lifutu didn't chase after him, but said disdainfully. Skinny Monkey straightened his body again. This time, the crowbar in his hand changed from a horizontal stance to a stabbing one. He attacked Lifutu's vitals like raindrops. Lifutu's eyes flickered as he retreated. Skinny Monkey chased after him, pushing his strength to the limit. Lifutu retreated a few steps, the tip of his foot hitting a rock. He flicked it forward, and a few rocks flew towards Skinny Monkey. Skinny Monkey had no choice but to deflect the rocks. Lifutu counterattacked. He moved his feet in a small area, and his arms were like snakes coming out of their holes. He attacked Skinny Monkey from a tricky angle. His attacks were too fast, and Skinny Monkey couldn't react in time. He was hit multiple times and flew away in pain. I'll give you one more chance. Submit to the Black Gorilla Gang or die. Lifutu said coldly. Bullsh *T. Skinny Monkey cursed. The rainstorm spear technique swept up again. Lifutu shot over again, one hand reaching for Skinny Monkey's throat. This time, he wanted to kill Skinny Monkey himself. At this critical moment, Skinny Monkey's eyes turned red. His bloodshot eyes made Lifutu jump. At the same time, Skinny Monkey saw Lifutu's attack. Skinny Monkey dodged, and the crowbar swept across, hitting Lifutu's abdomen heavily. Lifutu retreated in pain. Skinny Monkey chased after him. His attacks were swift and fierce. You dare to hurt me? You deserve to die. Lifutu's killing intent soared. He didn't plan to hold back anymore. After dodging Skinny Monkey's attacks, he continued to attack. High-grade fist of crushing stone. Fist could crush rocks, but it could also explode heads. After Skinny Monkey's eyes turned red, his eyesight became unparalleled. Lifutu's attacks were all avoided by him. He didn't take any more hits. Skinny Monkey's confidence grew. He thought to himself proudly, my eyesight is good for fighting. This is great. While Skinny Monkey and Lifutu were evenly matched, the others weren't so lucky. Fei Lung and Bei Zhe were the strongest. They could each take on one person. The others were all mid-grade martial soldiers. They were no match for Li Futu's group. These 8 people were all ruthless. It was obvious that they had been fighting with others for a long time. One punch was all it took to knock someone down. Fei Long was missing an arm. His battle ability was greatly reduced. He was at a disadvantage after 30 rounds with a prison slave of the same level as him. He would probably be defeated in less than 50 rounds. Beize was defeated by a high-grade martial soldier within 20 rounds. His lower abdomen was hit 5 or 6 times consecutively. His organs were displaced. He spat out blood and rolled on the ground, unable to continue fighting. When the 20 over-prison slaves had been beaten down, the skinny monkey-like man and Li Futu were still fighting. Many prison guards and prison slaves saw this scene from afar. They hung their lanterns high and didn't care. The prison guards didn't interfere with the prison slaves' infighting. This time, they had received orders from their superiors to purposely let Li Futu and the others cause trouble for Skinny Monkey. Naturally, they turned a blind eye. As for the prison slaves, they were all victims. No matter who was their boss, they had a hand over their red steel oars. They were already numb to it. However, in their hearts, Skinny Monkey from Wuho Gang was still better than Wang Yin and Centipede. After all, Wuho Gang only took a third of their red steel oars daily. In the past, they would have taken at least half, or even all of it. This kid is strange. Looks like he has to use his ultimate move. Li Futu was finally anxious after failing to defeat Skinny Monkey. On the other hand, Skinny Monkey was becoming more and more composed as the battle went on. He was able to catch Li Futu's attacks and had a sense of invincibility. "I'll finish you with one punch." Li Futu used all his strength. With a shout, he took a few steps forward and threw a punch that was filled with rock-shattering power. Li Futu had already given it his all. Skinny Monkey's eyes were blazing red as he took in Li Futu's domineering punches. He held the crowbar with both hands and swung it towards Li Futu. The crowbar hit the fist and bent. Skinny Monkey couldn't hold on, and the crowbar flew out of his hands. Li Futu's second punch came. Skinny Monkey had an idea. He rolled on the ground and hugged Li Futu. He lifted his leg and threw him to the ground. Skinny Monkey used Thousand Fall again and hit Li Futu with his elbow. If Li Futu hadn't rolled faster, Skinny Monkey's attack would have taken half his life. "What are you all waiting for? Attack together." Li Futu got up and shouted at the others. The others no longer held back and surrounded Skinny Monkey at the same time. No matter how extraordinary Skinny Monkey's eyesight was, it was still difficult for him to keep up with the simultaneous attacks of people who were not inferior to him in strength. After injuring 3 people in a row, he was still beaten to the ground. Numerous crowbars were continuously aimed at his body, causing his head to bleed profusely. Little Man ran over and shouted, "Don't hit Brother Sun. Don't hit him anymore." Little Man's running speed was much faster than before. It was obvious that her strength had increased. Where did this brat come from? "Get out of my way." A prison slave blocked Xiao Mang's path and slapped him across the face. Little Man reacted instinctively and swung his palm to meet the slap. Bam! Ah! First, the 2 palms collided. There was a strange sound, and then someone screamed. It turned out that the prison slave who was about to hit Little Man was holding his hand and screaming in pain. I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose." Little Man apologized innocently. "You brat." After the prison slave caught his breath, he cursed angrily and kicked Little Man again. Xiao Mang didn't know any moves, so she could only retreat. However, the other party didn't give up and punched again. Xiao Mang couldn't take it anymore and sent out another palm strike. It hit the prison slave's body. The prison slave felt as if he had been electrocuted. He felt as if the bones in his shoulder were about to be shattered. He screamed in pain. "You forced me to do this. I really didn't do it on purpose." Little Man was still at a loss. She knew that she was strong, but she didn't know that hitting someone could be so painful. Li Futu walked towards her with a vicious expression. "So there's a brat who's been hiding her strength. Killing you should be enough." Little Man was so frightened by Li Futu's ferocious look that she took a few steps back, but she still begged, "Please let Brother Sun go, or my young master won't let you go. Your young master is nothing. Everyone in the mountain prison is a low-ranking prisoner. Kneel down and submit. Li Futu spat and scolded. That's right, you're just a fart that I let out. A cold voice rang out not far away. Chapter 33. Yang Wu had returned. He carried Wang Jiucheng all the way back to the stone house in the 68th district. Wan Lanxin followed him all the way. If he had not urged her to go back first, she would probably have stayed in the 68th district. Wan Lanxin knew Yang Wu's situation and that someone was deliberately targeting him. If she truly cared about him, she would continue to be a young lady and give him some special privileges so that the prison guards would not make things difficult for him. Wan Lanxin was an intelligent woman and understood this very well. She temporarily bid farewell to Yang Wu. Before she left, she clearly instructed the 68th District Prison head to not make things difficult for Yang Wu. The 68th District Prison head naturally did not dare to go against this young lady's wishes. As for the skinny man, she was suspicious, but Yang Wu did not say anything and she did not ask. She believed that Yang Wu knew what he was doing. Yang Wu waited for Wan Lanxin to leave and then went out to find Little Man and Shou Ho. He wanted to reunite with them, but he happened to hear fighting and shouting. When he rushed over, he saw Shou Ho beaten to the ground and Little Man threatened. Anger rushed to his head. He had been in prison alone and was lucky enough to meet Shou Ho as a brother. He had also saved a maidservant with great difficulty. She was considered one of the Viscount's people, but now she was being bullied to this extent. He really could not tolerate it. After not seeing Yang Wu for a few days, Little Man saw him and cried out in surprise, "Young master, you're back." Yang Wu was even more handsome than he had been a few days ago. Even though he was still wearing the tattered clothes he had left in the blood pit, it still couldn't hide his extraordinary aura. Seeing this, Buqi's heart raced. Li Futu turned to look at Yang Wu and asked with narrowed eyes, "What did you say just now? Say it again if you have the guts." "I say, you're just a fart from this young master. Your ancestors of 18 generations have to kneel when they see me. Why aren't you, a servant, kneeling for me?" Yang Wu stepped forward with an oppressive aura. Li Futu faced Yang Wu, who had taken the initiative to walk over. Sensing this youth's unique aura, he was actually forced to take a step back. He couldn't help but look embarrassed and scolded angrily. "You have sharp tongue. I will first break your teeth one by one and see if you can still spout such nonsense." Li Futu took a step forward. His fist was like the wind, heading straight for Yang Wu's mouth. This punch contained the strength of a top-grade martial weapon. A single punch could shatter rocks. Just now, the skinny monkey was already in a lot of pain. If it really landed on his mouth, his front teeth might really shatter. Unfortunately, Li Futu was not facing the skinny monkey, but the skinny monkey's elder brother, Yang Wu. He was destined for tragedy. His fist did not land on Yang Wu's mouth. Instead, it was caught in Yang Wu's palm. Li Futu was shocked. He wanted to pull his hand back, but Yang Wu's palm was too strong. No matter how hard he tried, he could not pull his hand back. This time, Li Futu's entire face was filled with fear. He opened his mouth to beg for mercy, but in the next moment, a fist had already landed on his mouth. His teeth shattered and blood splattered everywhere. This scream woke up the prison slaves who were beating the skinny monkey. They turned to look and saw that Li Futu's front teeth had been knocked out by a youth. Before they could rush over, they saw that the youth's attacks were extremely vicious, continuously hitting the mouth of their emissary. One by one, his teeth were broken, blood splattering everywhere. The sight of this made them panic from the bottom of their hearts. This is what happens when you have a foul mouth, Yang Wu said sarcastically after knocking out all of Li Futu's front teeth. He then kicked Li Futu away like a dead dog. "Everyone, let's kill him." Li Futu's men were very courageous. After one of them shouted, the rest of them surrounded Yang Wu. These people all held crowbars in their hands. They were merciless in their attacks, all aimed at Yang Wu's vitals. They knew that they had to defeat their enemy in one move. Otherwise, they would be the unlucky ones. If it had been the Yang Wu of a few days ago, he would not have been able to withstand these attacks. But now it was different. These attacks were as slow as tortoises. He did not even care about them. Yang Wu grabbed the first crowbar in his hand and pulled the crowbar into his bosom. Using the crowbar as a shield, he blocked the attacks of the other prisoners. The prison slave who crashed into Yang Wu's bosom was tragically beaten until his skin and flesh were lacerated. Yang Wu casually pushed him out, knocking over 2 people. At the same time, he raised his iron fist and punched out like lightning. The prison slaves could not see how Yang Wu punched. They felt pain in their mouths as their front teeth flew out from Yang Wu's punch. These prison slaves quickly followed in Li Futu's footsteps. They all screamed in pain. Their injuries were not light, and blood flowed profusely. Yang Wu's punches were not something that martial weapons could withstand. If he wanted to, he could kill with 1 punch. Xiao Man and the skinny monkey-like man watched Yang Wu beat the hell out of these prison slaves with ease. It was really satisfying for them. Li Futu ignored the pain in his front teeth and got up to run. He knew that the young man in front of him was probably a warrior like their boss. They had no chance of winning. Go back and tell Black Gorilla that I will personally go to the 7th district and knock out all his front teeth one by one. He will end up just like you, Yang Wu said to the fleeing Li Futu. Li Futu was so frightened that he stumbled and fell to the ground. He quickly got up and continued to run. He was in a sorry state. The prison slaves who had been secretly watching were all shocked. They did not expect Yang Wu to be so powerful. He defeated Black Gorilla's underlings in just a few moves. In their hearts, Yang Wu's image suddenly rose. They clearly realized that the real leader of the Wuho gang was this young man. Yang Wu walked over to Skinny Monkey. Looking at the injured Skinny Monkey, he asked, "Can you still hold on?" Skinny Monkey lay on the ground and smiled. "Didn't I just get beaten up a few times? It's no big deal. In a few days, I will be able to stand up again and collect red steel ores for Big Brother. I will avenge you." Yang Wu gripped Skinny Monkey's hand and said seriously. Then he squatted down and carried Skinny Monkey on his back, returning to the stone house. Skinny Monkey's fresh blood soaked Yang Wu's clothes. Yang Wu did not notice, but Skinny Monkey felt it very clearly. His eyes were strangely wet. Go through thick and thin together. It was easy to say, but how many people could actually do it? After Yang Wu brought Skinny Monkey back to the stone house, he took off the jade bottle from his waist and fed Skinny Monkey a mouthful of Earth Spirit spring water. Skinny Monkey did not know that this was the extremely precious Earth Spirit spring water. He drank a mouthful fiercely. Instantly, a huge power nourished his body, and he felt extremely good. "Big Brother, what kind of spring water is this? Why is it so delicious?" Skinny Monkey asked impatiently after he recovered some of his spirit. Yang Wu smiled lightly. "This is the Earth Spirit spring water. It will be very beneficial for healing your injuries. Hurry and use the Xian formula to absorb the power of the spring water." Skinny Monkey realized the extraordinariness of this spring water and quickly sat in meditation to refine it. If Skinny Monkey knew that his mouthful of spring water was worth tens of thousands of gold, no one knew what kind of expression he would have. On the other hand, Yang Wu was calm and did not seem to care at all. To him, it would be fine as long as Skinny Monkey could recover quickly. It would not matter even if he had to drink all of the spring water. After all, Skinny Monkey was a brother recognized by this mountain prison. To the brothers he recognized, Yang Wu would never be stingy. Just like before he went to prison, he did not forget to give his last stack of banknotes and his personal jade to his martial arts student. "You? Who are you?" Suddenly, Little Man cried out in panic. She had discovered Wang Jiuchong in the corner. His appearance was too frightening. "Why did you bring in these unrelated people?" Wang Jiuchong did not pay attention to Little Man. Instead, he stared at Yang Wu and asked with dissatisfaction, "Senior, they're not unrelated people. One of them is my brother, and the other is my maid." Yang Wu responded, "Take them away. Don't get in my way." Wang Jiuchong scolded. Yang Wu walked up with a smile and said politely, "Senior, they will not get in your way. Do you not understand my words?" Wang Jiuchong frowned. "Oh, I know what to do." Yang Wu came back to his senses and responded. Then, he walked towards Wang Jiuchong and crouched down to carry him. Wang Jiuchong scolded angrily. "Brat, what is the meaning of this? Didn't you say you would not let them get in your way? Then I can only tell you to get lost." Yang Wu turned around and revealed a somewhat malevolent expression as he sneered. Wang Jiucheng's eyes shot out a sharp light. Do you want to die? Senior, I respect you because you're an expert of your generation. That's why I've been so respectful to you. Don't be so shameless. Yang Wu was truly furious. In the blood pit, he had been tortured by the other party to break the array. He had saved the other party with great difficulty. It was fine if the other party was not grateful, but he was ordering him around. He could not take it anymore. Wang Jiucheng was a king, an expert who had surpassed the mortal general level. He was a peak existence in the Great Xia Empire. Did Yang Wu eat a bear's heart or a leopard's heart to challenge him? The reason why Yang Wu suddenly had such courage was because when he was carrying Wang Jiucheng earlier, he had already sensed that Wang Jiucheng's body was extremely weak. He had already used up all of his strength before, which was why he dared to speak so arrogantly. Wang Jiucheng really did not think that Yang Wu would change so quickly. He was truly furious. He wanted to immediately raise his hand and slap Yang Wu to death, but it was just as Yang Wu thought. He did not even have the strength to raise his hand. If he used any more strength, he really would die on the spot. Good, very good. Wang Jiucheng was so angry that he did not know what to say. Senior, recover well here. If you want to kill me after you recover, I will not even frown. However, please let my brothers and maidservants go. Yang Wu said faintly to Wang Jiucheng. Then he sat down cross-legged to protect the skinny monkey. Little Hay came out of nowhere and pounced towards Yang Wu's jade bottle. It held the jade bottle in its mouth. Yang Wu was shocked at first, but then he said softly, Little Hay, stop fooling around. That is the Earth Spirit spring water. It is priceless. Don't break the bottle. Yang Wu did not immediately snatch it back. He already knew that Little Hay was very intelligent. It could directly snatch the jade bottle, and could also see how sensitive it was to smell spiritual items. Little Hay seemed to be able to understand Yang Wu's words. After wagging its tail, it straightened its body and sucked towards the mouth of the jade bottle. Yang Wu instantly felt a pang of pain. He thought to himself, this wastrel, I hope he can leave some of it behind. It was also on this day that the eagle cavalry of the imperial court flew over the mountain prison. Chapter 34. The Great Xia's Eagle Cavalry was a cavalry unit known for their speed. They were in charge of scouting, guarding, and aerial combat. There were a total of 365 of them, and every one of them was at least at the mortal general realm. The commander of the Eagle Cavalry was one of the top 50 experts in the Great Xia dynasty. He was at the King realm and had been conferred the title of Marquis. The King realm was the highest in the Great Xia dynasty, followed by the Marquis, followed by the Count, then the Viscount, Baron, and so on. Those who could become Marquis were a minority of people who had great power. It was obvious how important the Eagle Cavalry was in the Great Xia dynasty. Now, 8 Eagle Cavalry units appeared in the sky above the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison. 8 handsome men and women stood on the back of the Eagle Cavalry. They wore helmets and armor, and carried weapons on their backs. Their auras were domineering and mighty. The leader was a middle-aged man. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked down at the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison with a disdainful look. The middle-aged man muttered, "This barren place is indeed suitable for criminals." His name was Meng Helong. Not only was he the commander of these 8 riders, but he was also the 3rd-rank commander of the entire Eagle Cavalry. He was only second to the 2 kings, the 1st commander and the 2nd commander. He was already halfway to becoming a king. This time, they had received a request for help from the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison and hurried over. They were all elites among the Eagle Cavalry and were confident that they could solve the problem for the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison. The 8 Eagle Cavalry spread their wings, and a fierce wind rose. The 8 Eagle Cavalry units swooped down, sending sand and rocks flying. The various wardens in the Mountain Wolf Cavalry immediately sensed them. Vice Warden Lai Feng was the first to come out and welcome them. "Welcome, Commander Meng." Lai Feng was extremely respectful to Meng Helong. Even Warden Wan Tianlong was the same. "Vice Warden Lai, you don't need to be so courteous. You entered the palace with an urgent admonition. The Emperor sent us to help you break the evil pit and stop the wolf demon. Quickly take us to the evil pit to see what is going on. Meng Lang said quickly. Lai Fengru showed an awkward expression and said, reporting to Commander Meng, that evil pit seems to have been destroyed. What do you mean? Meng Helong frowned. Commander Meng, please follow me. We'll talk as we walk. Lai Feng gestured for him to follow. Meng Helong nodded his head and led his 7 subordinates to follow Lai Feng to the 8th district. On the way, Lai Feng briefly explained the situation of the blood pit to Meng Helong. When Meng Helong heard that the blood pit had actually disappeared, his expression became somewhat unsightly. They had rushed all the way from the royal city. Vice Warden Lai, you claimed that Warden Wan and Vice Warden Zhao were killed, and that the blood pit might contain the secrets of the kings. Now you're telling me that Warden Wan escaped death, and that the evil pit has been destroyed. Are you trying to fool us? Meng Helong came to the blood pit and glared at Lai Feng. Meng Helong had come here for the secrets of the kings in the blood pit. Now Lai Feng had said that the blood pit had collapsed on its own and no longer existed. How could he not be angry? He had been one step away from becoming a king, but he had been happy for nothing. How could he not be angry? Lai Feng broke out in a cold sweat. He did not know how to answer. Li Ziying, the mayor of the 8th district, bowed and walked out. My lord, when the evil pit collapsed, someone walked out alive. I suspect they obtained the king's secret. Meng Helong raised his eyebrows and asked, who is it? Bring him to me. Li Ziying revealed a troubled expression. This person is a prisoner. My lord summoned him, so he had no choice but to come. But what? Just say it. Meng Helong shouted. But that person has a close relationship with the warden. When the warden was in danger, he was the one who saved the warden. Ziying does not know if that is the truth, but I've already sent people to investigate that person's background. He is Yang Wu, the son of the former Earl Yang Jinan. Later, he blasphemed the princess, and his whole family was demoted. He was sent to our mountain prison and enslaved for 10 years, Li Ziying replied. So, it's the kid who caused a ruckus in the Great Xia dynasty. Meng Helong murmured. Then he said to Li Ziying, bring him to me immediately. Even if the warden stops you, I'll take care of it for you. Li Ziying was overjoyed. Yes, I'll bring him here now. Li Ziying had long disliked Yang Wu. After learning about Yang Wu's situation, he would not be polite to Yang Wu. He wanted Yang Wu dead. A mere prisoner dared to offend him. He deserved to die. Seeing Meng Helong's slightly raised lips, Lai Feng's heart skipped a beat. He had a bad premonition. Later, Meng Helong asked Lai Feng to send people to dig the blood pit thoroughly. He wanted to know if there were any king's items left in the blood pit. In addition, he went to visit Wan Tianlong. After all, this was Wan Tianlong's territory. In terms of status, he was inferior to Wan Tianlong. Wan Tianlong had been attacked by the evil blood Qi and was seriously injured. He had almost died in the blood pit. Now that he was rescued, he recovered a lot of blood Qi with the help of the evil warding bead and healing elixirs. However, his condition was not very good. Without a period of recuperation, he would not be able to recover completely. Wan Lanxin stayed by his side to take care of him. Zhang Xiong stayed close to him at all times. He was determined not to let anything happen to Wan Tianlong. When Meng Helong arrived and saw Wan Tianlong's condition, he only said a few words of comfort to Wan Lanxin. Then he went to the place Lai Feng had arranged for them to stay and waited for Yang Wu's arrival. Wan Lanxin did not know what Li Ziying had said to Meng Helong. Otherwise, she would have stopped it from happening. In the stone house, there were 3 people meditating. They were Yang Wu, Shou Ho, and Wang Jiucheng. The auras of the 3 people were different. Yang Wu's aura was strong and vigorous. He was like a withered tree that had been reborn. He was in the stage of growth and was unstoppable. Shou Ho was seriously injured. However, with the help of the Earth Spirit Spring, the injury quickly scabbed over. The missing blood Qi was replenishing, and his strength was increasing. He recovered very quickly. As for Wang Jiucheng, he was concentrating and had entered a state of dissipation. All his strength seemed to have been lost. He was like a dying man without the domineering aura that he had when he was struggling in the blood pit. The 3 of them each sat in a corner. Only the little man was quietly guarding outside the stone house. From time to time, her gaze would look at Yang-Wu, who was sitting quietly. Her beautiful eyes could not hide the deep affection in them as she thought to herself, "Young master is so handsome." At this moment, Li Xing, who was sitting on a war horse, led many jailers led by Su Zhang and rushed towards the stone house. Su Zhang had been taught a lesson by Wan Lanqin. His teeth were knocked out, and he was stripped of his position as the captain. He was almost chopped up and fed to the wolves. Fortunately, all of this was over. Li Xing summoned him and prepared to make him the captain of the 8th district. His luck had changed. Mayor Lai, that is where Yang-Wu lives. Su Zhang pointed to the stone house where Yang-Wu lived and said to Li Xing, "He, a lowly slave, dares to live alone in a room. Flatten this stone house." Li Xing shouted. Under his lead, dozens of jailers rushed towards the stone house and wanted to push it down. Little Man saw them coming aggressively. She did not know where her courage came from. She stood in front of the stone house and opened her hands to stop them. She said, "What are you doing? Don't disturb young master." She seemed to have forgotten that she was a prisoner. She even forgot that her young master was also a prisoner. Against the heavens, a little prison slave dares to block our way. Su Zhang shouted with dissatisfaction and slapped towards Little Man. When Little Man was about to be slapped by Su Zhang, a black shadow flashed and rushed towards Su Zhang's face. Su Zhang did not have time to react. He felt pain on his face and screamed. It turned out that Little Hay jumped out of nowhere and directly jumped on his Su Zhang's face. It scratched his face and blood oozed out. The other jailers were shocked. When they saw that it was a Little Hay dog, they chased after the Little Hay dog. Woof woof. Little Hay barked again and again. It was agile and its claws were sharp. Before it jumped continuously, it tore many jailers' clothes and blood oozed out. These jailers screamed continuously. Li Xing suddenly felt that he had lost all his face and was disgraced. "You pieces of trash, get out of my way." Li Xing angrily cursed. He pulled out his sword and slashed towards Little Hay. The sword flashed and was 10 feet away. No matter how fast Little Hay's movements were, it could not dodge it. It was sent flying far away by the sword. It was unknown if it was dead or alive. Little Man cried out in shock, "Little Hay." These days, Little Hay had been finding her spiritual fruits and herbs so that she could eat and sleep well. Just now, Little Hay had suffered such a fate because of her. She was heartbroken. "Tear this place down for me. Whoever dares to stop me, kill without mercy," Li Xing loudly ordered. At this time, Yang-Wu walked out from inside and said with a serious face, "Uncle, what are you doing?" Chapter 35. The word uncle was an honorific, but in Li Xing's ears, it was extremely disgusting. Li Xing stared at Yang-Wu and sneered. "You're about to die, yet you still dare to yell at me. You really don't know what's good for you." Then he shouted his left and right, "Catch him. Whoever wants to catch my young master has to go through me first." Little Man once again stood in front of Yang-Wu and said, "Little Man, get out of the way. My young master doesn't need you to shield me from the wind and rain." Yang-Wu pulled Little Man to the side and said, "TSK, TSK. A prison slave still has an attendant following him. Since you are the master and servant, then I'll let you go together and tie you up," Li Xing said with a sinister expression. Now that he had the support of the Eagle Rider commander, he was no longer afraid of Wan Lanqin causing trouble for him. This time, he must put all the blame on Yang-Wu and let Yang-Wu die without a burial place. "Uncle, if you want to tie me up, then tie me up. Why do you have to involve others?" Yang-Wu stood in front of Little Man and said, "Whoever stands up for you is guilty," Li Xing said arrogantly. "Sister Lanqin and I were childhood sweethearts. Even when I was in prison, she took care of me for the sake of our past relationship. Uncle, if you treat me like this, I'm afraid that when Sister Lanqin knows, she won't have a good time with you," Yang-Wu said with a frown. It would be best if Lanqin dares to make a move this time," Li Xing said with a sinister smile. Then, he waved his hand and ordered his subordinates to tie up Yang Wu, and little man Yang Wu said to little man apologetically, "I've implicated you." Little man's pretty face smiled. No, to be able to accompany the young master, little man is not afraid of death. At this moment, Yang Wu looked at little man's face that was still smeared with soot, and his heart felt warm. A friend in need is a friend indeed. Just as Li Xing was about to leave with Yang Wu and the little man, he looked at the stone house and waved his hand. "Destroy the stone house." "No!" Yang Wu immediately cried out in alarm. "Push," Li Xing said firmly. "You will regret it." Yang Wu emphasized seriously as a strange sneer appeared in his eyes. Li Xing said sarcastically, "Viscount Yang, you don't have the awareness of being a prisoner. You don't have the right to make me regret." The prison guards arrived in front of the stone house and began to push the stone house. The stone house was nothing more than a pile of stones that could shelter them from the wind and rain. How could it withstand the strength of the prison guards? However, just as the prison guards were about to exert their strength, a shout rang out from within the stone house. "You're courting death." It was like a sudden clap of thunder that exploded in the ears of the prison guards. Instantly, their eardrums bled, their minds went blank, and they fainted. The golden battle lion that Li Xing was sitting on was shocked. It trembled in fear and fell down, causing Li Xing to fall from its body. In the next moment, the prison guards were sucked into the stone house by a powerful suction force. Very soon, a strong smell of blood spread out, and severed limbs kept flying out. The ghastly scene was truly nauseating. "King! King!" Li Xing was scared out of his wits and cried out in alarm. When a king was angry, corpses would lie low for thousands of miles. Li Xing had already reached the human general realm. If he couldn't feel the strength of the person in the stone house, then his cultivation would have been in vain. However, he never thought that there would be a king in the stone house of the prison field. Even the warden hadn't reached this level. "Uncle, do you still want to destroy the stone house?" Yang Wu asked heartlessly. Not only was there Shou Ho in the stone house, but there was also Wang Jiucheng. Wang Jiucheng didn't care about Yang Wu's offense, but it didn't mean that he didn't care about others. Wang Jiucheng was not a kind person. Li Xing wasn't a fool. He thought of the skinny old man that Yang Wu had carried out. That could be a king that had been carried out from the blood pit. He pulled the battle lion and quickly retreated. Unfortunately, the battle lion's legs were weak and it couldn't stand up straight. He didn't even care about the battle lion, rolling and crawling away from this place. Yang Wu looked at the escaping Li Xing and sighed heavily. More trouble. I really don't want to be forced to escape from prison. Once he escaped from prison, he wouldn't be able to erase his identity as a prison slave for the rest of his life. This was definitely something he didn't want. Xiao Man kept vomiting at the side. She looked like she was really scared out of her wits. Yang Wu patted her back and said, "You should stay a little further away. Take your time." Young master, I'm not afraid," the little man said, wanting to appear stronger. "That's good. You may have to face even more disgusting situations in the future. You should get used to it earlier," Yang Wu said. Then he looked at little He, who was staggering back, and asked with concern, "Is little He okay?" The little man ran over and hugged little He in her arms. She checked to see if little He was injured. In the end, she found that little He wasn't injured at all. "Woof, woof." Little He shook its head and barked. Its canine eyes emitted a sharp and fierce light. It was obviously very dissatisfied with being sent flying. Yang Wu stroked little He's head and said seriously, "I'll avenge you in the future." Little He looked at Yang Wu and nodded like a human, then stuck out its tongue and licked Yang Wu's palm. Yang Wu smiled brilliantly and threw all of his displeasure to the back of his mind. Now, in this situation, he could only deal with whatever came his way. As long as he didn't die, he would have a chance to get rid of his identity as a prison slave. Yang Wu didn't look at the severed limbs on the ground. He walked into the stone house. He was worried that Shou Ho would be killed by Wang Jiucheng. Fortunately, Shou Ho was safe inside the stone house. He didn't dare to look at Wang Jiucheng at all. He could only spit out 2 words with difficulty. "Eat people." When Wang Jiucheng saw Yang Wu walk in. His eyes were like swords as he coldly said, "You still dare to come in? Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Senior, killing me is as easy as flipping your hand." Yang Wu bowed and said. He paused and said, "Senior, the Imperial Court has already sent experts here. I'm afraid it will be inconvenient for you to stay here." Now that Wang Jiucheng had caused such a ruckus and Li Xing had fled, how could this place be peaceful? Wang Jiucheng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said indifferently, "Don't be afraid. If they dare to come, I dare to kill them. Do they really think that I'm one of those cats and dogs?" A king had the demeanor of a king. If he fled, wouldn't his reputation be ruined in the future? Little Hay was not satisfied with Wang Jiucheng's words. It bared its teeth and shouted angrily. It wanted to rush over and kill Wang Jiucheng. "All right, since Senior doesn't want to leave, Junior will accompany you." Yang Wu hoped that Wang Jiucheng wouldn't leave. No king could be offended by ordinary forces. Even the imperial family had to treat them seriously. He felt that this might be a turning point. Yang Wu took the remaining Earth Spirit spring water that Little Hay had drunk and handed it to Wang Jiucheng. Wang Jiucheng looked up slightly and said, "If the Earth Spirit spring water was useful to me, would I still be like this? This is the true Earth Spirit spring water." Yang Wu emphasized. Wang Jiucheng did not hesitate. He opened his mouth and sucked in all the Earth Spirit spring water in the jade bottle. Yang Wu immediately felt his heart ache. He had planned on leaving some for Wan Lanxin and the little man to use. It really is the true Earth Spirit spring water. Wang Jiucheng's face lit up as he exclaimed. "Then, Senior, rest for a while. I believe that more people will come soon. I hope that Senior won't kill so easily." Yang Wu said. It was not that Yang Wu was kind and benevolent, but he was afraid that Wang Jiucheng would kill too many people. If this crime fell on him, then he would not be able to clear his name. Not long after, 8 people and 8 eagles came riding the wind with an imposing aura. In the mountain forest, Li Xing changed his warhorse and rushed over with his father, Lai Feng, and hundreds of jailers. For a moment, the atmosphere in the 68th district became extremely oppressive. "Is he here?" Meng Helong stood on the eagle and asked Lai Feng and Li Xing. Li Xing wiped the cold sweat on his face and trembled as he said, "Yes, it's here. Look at your courage. How can you step into a higher realm in the future?" Lai Feng reprimanded his son in dissatisfaction. "Father, he will eat people." Li Xing wanted to cry, but had no tears. Meng Helong and 7 other subordinates walked towards the stone house together. Each of them released a thick Xian armor and entered a state of battle. "Ready the arrows." Lai Feng waved his hand, and the 500 jailers behind him all drew their bows and knocked their arrows in unison. Once the order was given, the 500 arrows would shoot together. "Shoot!" After Lai Feng gave the order, the 500 arrows were shot together in an instant. Each arrow contained an extremely majestic aura and could easily blow up the mountain rocks directly. How could a stone house block it? Seeing that the arrows were about to fall in front of the stone house, there was a sudden clap of thunder. "Get lost!" The sound was so loud that it shook the heavens and the earth. Hundreds of arrows were broken, shocking the world. Everyone was shocked. How could they have imagined that the arrow made of crimson steel rock would break just like that? "Shoot again." Lai Feng gave the order again, expressionless. Another wave of arrows was shot. The arrows were densely packed and flashed with light, surging with momentum. This time, as soon as the arrows were in the air, a terrifying hand appeared and grabbed the arrows. With a wave of the hand, many of the arrows were reflected back at the prison guards. "Oh no, everyone, get out of the way!" Lai Feng shouted to the jailers beside him. At the same time, he drew out his combat weapon and slashed at the arrows that were reflected back at him. As for Li Xing, who was on horseback, he was so frightened that he fell off his horse again. He trembled and said, the king's power is inviolable." Many jailers could not dodge the arrows that were reflected back at them and were either killed or seriously injured. The 8 eagle riders in the sky all looked solemn. They really realized that there was a king in the stone house. Let's see how powerful this king is. Meng Helong was indeed an expert who had experienced hundreds of battles. He did not show any fear in the face of a king and said to his companions beside him. The 7 of them nodded and drew out their combat weapons at the same time. They formed a formation with Meng Helong and attacked the stone house together. At this moment, the stone house suddenly exploded. Bang! Chapter 36. The stone house was simply made of rocks. Under the powerful aura, the rocks in the stone house flew towards the 8 riders in the sky. The momentum of Meng Helong and the others changed as they swung their weapons and smashed the incoming rocks into pieces. They were all high-level general realm cultivators, and each of them was very powerful. Waves of profound chi shot out from their hands and shattered the rocks. However, they were also forced to fall from their mounts. They looked very miserable. Only Meng Helong seemed to be relatively more relaxed. "Do you want to kill me?" Wang Jiucheng looked up at Meng Helong and the others and said faintly. Yang Wu, Shouho, and Little Man stood beside him. They looked at the mighty Wang Jiucheng and felt his aura. Their faces were full of yearning. Is this the demeanor of a king? Yang Wu murmured in his heart. He was thinking, if he had such domineering strength, would he be able to sweep through the great Xia dynasty and make the nobles fear him? If only I could have such strength one day. Shouho thought to himself as he clenched his fists. His injuries had mostly recovered under the nourishment of the Earth Origin Spring. Moreover, his strength had increased by 4 stones. He was only 1 stone away from a top-grade martial weapon. His improvement was very fast. As for Little Man, although she was of humble birth, she also understood that if she had the ability to leap over roofs and vault over walls, she would be able to protect herself better. I have to cultivate the 8 barbarians' immortal formula seriously. I have to be stronger than him. Then I can protect young master. Little Man made up her mind very seriously. You want to kill me? After drinking the real Earth Origin Spring, Wang Jiucheng had recovered 10% of his strength. His king's aura was no weaker than when he was in the Blood Altar. Facing these hundreds of people and the 8 riders in the sky, he was fearless. He glanced at Meng Helong and the others with his fierce eyes. The eagle demons could not help but descend. I am the 3rd commander of the Flying Eagle Riders of the Great Xia Dynasty, Meng Helong. May I know your name, and why have you appeared in the mountain prison? Meng Helong leaped down from the eagle and clasped his hands towards Wang Jiucheng. You don't have the right to know this king's name. Take your people and scram. Otherwise, this king doesn't mind using you as food. Wang Jiucheng said with a horrified smile. Your Excellency's tone is a little too big. Although you've become a king, your current condition doesn't seem to be very good. Meng Helong said with a frown. Then you'll know once you try. Wang Jiucheng said solemnly. At this moment, Lai Feng suddenly asked, You were the one who caused the blood pit disaster, weren't you? Are you questioning this prince? Wang Jiucheng glared at Lai Feng. His gaze was like a sharp weapon that could kill people. Even Lai Feng, an advanced general, could not withstand it. As if he had been electrocuted, he fell from the ash wolf. Meng Helong and his 7 companions were instantly shocked. Even if their heads were stuck, they could guess that this person in front of them was not an ordinary king. At the very least, he had the strength of a mid-level king or above. Otherwise, he could still injure a martial artist in the general realm in such a state. This strength was not something that anyone could achieve. Everyone disperse. Don't make trouble for this lord. Meng Helong ordered decisively. After his voice fell, the others quickly retreated as if they had been granted amnesty. Li Ziying did not even care about his father. He rolled and crawled away from this troublesome place. Uncle, why are you running away so fast? Stay and chat with us for a while. Yang Wu had sharp eyes. After seeing Li Ziying, he called out to him. Li Ziying was scared out of his wits. He only hated that he was born with 2 legs. He ran away as fast as he could. At this moment, Meng Helong's gaze fell on Yang Wu. There was a complicated look in his eyes. He then looked at Wang Jiucheng and said, Your Excellency, regardless of the cause and effect, how about we let this matter go? My reputation is not worth much. I'm afraid that even your white-browed eagle king may not dare to negotiate with me like this," Wang Jiucheng said contemptuously. When Meng Helong and his 7 companions heard the words white-browed eagle king, they all trembled. As for Lai Feng, the deputy warden, he looked as if he had lost his parents. He was extremely terrified. The white-browed eagle king was one of the top 10 experts in the Great Xia dynasty 100 years ago. He was also the commander of the previous generation of the Flying Eagle Cavalry. He had already retired behind the scenes to enjoy his life. His current strength had probably reached the peak of perfection. Even the current emperor had to respectfully address him as teacher. It was obvious how powerful the white-browed eagle king was. The skinny king in front of them actually dared to speak so arrogantly. Regardless of whether it was true or not, at least he had such courage. He was definitely not someone they could afford to offend. Even if this king had devoured the lives of many prison guards, they were nothing compared to the influence of a king. At first, Meng Helong wanted to fight it out with the strength of the 8 of them. Now, he had completely lost his courage. The current Eagle King of the Flying Eagle Cavalry was known as the Little Eagle King. He was the disciple of the white-browed Eagle King. Deputy Warden Lai, this happened in your prison. I'll leave it to you to decide how to show respect to this lord. We, the Flying Eagle Cavalry, dare not overstep our boundaries. Meng Helong hurriedly turned to Lai Feng and said, Lai Feng wanted to die. He had wanted to become the warden. Now, he had not only failed to become the warden, but he had also provoked such a fiend. What should he do? My lord, why don't we move to another courtyard? I'll prepare some good wine and dishes for you. I also have some spiritual medicine. I believe it can help you recover faster. Lai Feng calmed himself down and put on a fawning expression. Okay, I won't make things difficult for you. Wang Jiucheng agreed without hesitation. Now, what he lacked the most was healing and supplements. He could use Lai Feng to get some good things to help him recover faster. This was also the reason why he had broken out of the stone house. He did not want to stay in this godforsaken place with Yang Wu to slowly recover. Wang Jiucheng left with Lai Feng. He did not look at Yang Wu from beginning to end, as if he did not exist. Yang Wu had a smile on his face the entire time as he watched Wang Jiucheng leave. He did not feel the slightest bit of displeasure. He wanted nothing more than for Wang Jiucheng to leave as soon as possible. He did not want there to be a bomb beside him that could explode and kill them at any time. Meng Helong naturally left with Lai Feng and the others. However, before he left, he did not forget to glance at Yang Wu. Yang Wu seemed to sense Meng Helong's attention and also looked back. However, his face was expressionless. When everyone left, Shouho let out a sigh of relief and said to Yang Wu, Big brother, is that a king who has broken through to the human general realm? I can't even breathe from the pressure. Yes, this is the aura of a king. Moreover, it is only the aura of a king who has passed his prime, but it can already make us feel suffocated. If he completely recovers, I'm afraid that we will all die in his rage. Yang Wu sighed emotionally. He then made a gesture of victory and said, He is already old. The future is our world. Shouho's eyes lit up as he said, Yes, the future is ours. It was a pity that there were only corpses everywhere and no one else. Otherwise, they would definitely call them crazy. 2 mere prison slaves dared to speak such arrogant words. What a joke. This joke was silently believed by a young girl holding a little hay dog. Under Shouho's orders, the prison slaves built a new stone house. Yang Wu's original intention was to build 3 stone houses. He firmly believed that no one would dare say anything in the current situation, so he wanted to borrow Wang Jiucheng's influence. Shouho said that he wanted to be more comfortable in his own nest and didn't want to live in a stone house, but in reality, he didn't have the courage. As for Little Man, she didn't dare. She wanted to stay in front of the young master's stone house. She would be satisfied as long as she could see the young master. If he built another stone house for her to live in, wouldn't she be separated from the young master? Wouldn't the time she could see the young master be even shorter? Yang Wu saw that they were insistent, so he didn't force them. He sat in the newly built stone house and thought about what he should do next. Right now, he had Wan Lanxin's influence to borrow, as well as Wang Jiucheng's influence. Unfortunately, these were all external forces and couldn't be relied on. At most, they would only make his days in the prison a little easier. If he really wanted to break free of his identity as a prison slave, he would have to rely on himself. Yang Wu didn't sit down to meditate. Instead, he began to practice a set of palm techniques. This set of palm techniques was called rippling vortex palm. It was an inferior general technique that could only be practiced when one reached the level of a warrior. It was a set of palm techniques that Yang Wu had memorized in his family's martial arts library before he was about to break through to the warrior realm. This set of palm techniques contained a total of 36 kinds of changes. Once it was practiced to the advanced level, it would be as powerful as the impact of waves. Now that Yang Wu had broken through to the intermediate warrior realm, it was the right time for him to practice this set of palm techniques. Yang Wu followed the mnemonic of the set of palm techniques and waved his palms over and over again. He had to first understand the set of palm techniques and familiarize himself with the rhythm of the set of palm techniques. Only then could he gather his strength to make a stunning attack. Generally speaking, the higher the level of a combat skill, the more difficult it was to practice. Rippling vortex palm had reached the general level, so it was naturally difficult to practice. However, Yang Wu had only practiced it for 2 hours, but he had already mastered the embryonic form of the set of palm techniques. His comprehension ability was really extraordinarily strong. This is a combat skill related to water chi. Let's try to combine it with the dragon turtle water suppression stance. Yang Wu calmed down and thought for a while. Then, he stood up and practiced the dragon turtle water suppression stance. Suddenly, the chi under the Yongquan acupoint surged and rushed from the extraordinary meridian to the acupoints on both palms. The 2 acupoints on the palms were penetrated and formed a cyclone. Then a blue palm print was thrown out. Bang! Yang Wu was stunned when he saw a clearly visible palm print on the rock of the stone house. At this moment, a figure landed in front of a stone house, and a voice came in. "Nephew Yang, you really hid your strength well. I thought your dantian was really destroyed," as the outside world said. Chapter 37. It was late at night. Someone suddenly spoke in front of the stone house. Yang Wu was really shocked, especially when it just opened the acupoints in his palms and forced out a wisp of the power of rippling vortex palm. He had not yet recovered from his shock. "Who is it?" Yang Wu cried out in surprise. There were not many people here who could understand him, and there was probably no one who called him nephew. However, the person who came seemed to be very familiar with him. It reminded him of the person he saw during the day, but he did not know if it was him. As expected, when the person walked into the stone house, Yang Wu cried out in surprise in his heart. "What? You don't recognize your Uncle Meng?" The person who walked in stared at Yang Wu with a playful expression. Yang Wu frowned and showed some disgust. "I don't dare to associate myself with Commander Meng." The person who came was the 3rd commander of the Flying Eagle Cavalry, Meng Helong. Meng Helong did not mind Yang Wu's mockery. With a calm expression, he said, "It seems that you are still blaming Uncle Meng. I don't have the guts. I am a prisoner, and you are the 3rd commander of the Flying Eagle Cavalry. As long as you give the order, I will lose my life." Yang Wu turned his face away and replied. Meng Helong laughed self-deprecatingly. "I know what you are blaming. When your Yang family was in trouble, you blamed me for not speaking up for your family, right? I don't dare." Yang Wu turned his face away and replied. "Sigh, do you really think that your father and I, as sworn brothers, have no brotherly feelings at all?" Meng Helong heaved a heavy sigh and then said seriously, "The accident happened too suddenly. By the time I found out, it was already too late. I originally wanted to go to the Emperor and plead for mercy on your behalf. I didn't care even if I had to give up my position as the commander. When I met your father, it was your father who asked me to stay out of this matter. He didn't want to implicate me and also hoped that one day I would be able to take care of you 2 brothers. It's just a pity that Shao Wen's talent as the top scholar in the liberal arts was wasted." Yang Wu stared at Meng Helong. He wanted to determine if Meng Helong was telling the truth. "Since my father told you to stay out of this, do you know my brother's current situation? Yang Wu asked again. The reason why I didn't come to see you immediately was because I was looking after little one all the way. Moreover, you were being watched closely by others. Uncle couldn't help you openly. If you accidentally die, you can only blame your bad luck. If you can save Yang Wen's life, the Yang family will have hope. Meng Helong said sincerely. After a pause, he added, however, looking at you now, it seems that you're not much worse than that brat Yang Wen. Perhaps the Yang clan can rise again because of you two brothers. Obviously, Yang Wu's position in Meng Helong's heart was much higher than Yang Wu's. Even though Yang Wu was known as the little cultivation genius in the royal city, he was far inferior to Yang Wen, the literati star. In this pure land, literature was respected and martial arts was revered. No one was inferior to anyone. It was said that it was easy to read books, but difficult to cultivate martial arts. However, in reality, it was more admirable to become a saint through literature that would leave a lasting legacy. Yang Wu had long been regarded as a talent who could become a saint through literature. Back then, the great Xia dynasty was prepared to betroth their beloved daughter to him, who knew that when Yang Wu's incident broke out, he disregarded the emperor's vast and mighty favor and resolutely used his position as the top scholar in literature in exchange for his brother's life. Otherwise, Yang Wu would have been executed long ago and not sent to the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison. When Yang Wu thought of his brother, his eyes couldn't help but moisten. He felt extremely guilty in his heart. Thank you, Uncle Meng. As long as you can protect my brother from death, Yang Wu will do anything. Yang Wu said as he bowed deeply to Meng Helong. Ever since Yang Wu was sent to prison, he had never bent his back. Tonight, he bent his strong backbone for his brother. It was enough to see how deep their brotherhood was. Meng Helong revealed a gratified expression. He patted Yang Wu's shoulder lightly and said, both of you brothers are the same. Your brother begged me to take care of you, and now you're begging me to protect your brother from death. Don't tell me you two really don't treat Uncle Meng as your own uncle? Do you really think that your father and I becoming sworn brothers is just child's play? I've misunderstood you, Uncle. Yang Wu revealed a guilty expression. Yang Wu had known Meng Helong since he was young. Back then, Meng Helong would often come to the Yang family to drink with his father. However, after Meng Helong was promoted by his father, the amount of time he spent visiting decreased. Even when the Yang family was in trouble, he didn't see this uncle speak up for them. Therefore, he held a grudge against Meng Helong in his heart. He thought that Meng Helong was a petty person who only knew how to protect himself. Now, it seemed that he had misunderstood Meng Helong. This is nothing. I came to the Wolf Smoke Mountain prison this time by coincidence. Since your life isn't in danger now, you can properly train yourself here. Or do you want Uncle Meng to take you away and change your appearance so that you can live a new life? Meng Helong gave him two options. It's better for me to stay here and hone myself. I want to get rid of my identity as a prison slave openly. In the future, I also want to rehabilitate myself. I will never admit to anything that I haven't done. Yang Wu immediately replied with certainty. Little Wu, let's not think about rehabilitating yourself for now. It's not like you don't know the power of that person. Meng Helong sighed softly. Uncle Meng, you don't have to worry about this. I know what to do. I won't let loyalty get the better of me. Yang Wu said very calmly. Then tell me about that king. Right now, we have to treat him like a lord. Meng Helong changed the topic. Yang Wu said, let's not talk about this. Sister Lan Xian and I were worried about Uncle Wan's safety, so we barged into the blood pit. Yang Wu told him about what happened in the blood pit. He omitted some things that should be omitted, but said everything that should be said. He didn't lie. At the same time, he secretly observed Meng Helong's expression. He saw a trace of unwillingness in Meng Helong's eyes, which immediately put him on guard. It seems that Uncle Meng isn't completely trustworthy. Yang Wu warned himself secretly. After Meng Helong finished listening, he said, it seems that this person might be a serious criminal. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been locked up in the 8th prison. I must report this matter to the imperial court immediately. You can stay here in peace. If you need anything, just tell the prison guards. I'll tell them to take good care of you." After he finished speaking, he didn't wait for Yang Wu to say anything. He turned and left the stone house. Yang Wu watched him leave, but his heart was incomparably complicated. He couldn't help but sigh. The world is dangerous. As expected, he's still a hothead. Does he really think that he can live well here without being crippled? He's too naive. Meng Helong muttered to himself after he stepped onto the eagle rider. Very quickly, he disappeared into the night. The night passed quickly. Yang Wu had just absorbed a wisp of purple qi in front of the stone house. This wisp of purple qi was much thicker than the ones he had absorbed before, and the power it contained was no small matter. After this power circulated in his dantian, it flowed through the 12 standard meridians and one of the extraordinary meridians, receiving the nourishment of this pure power along with many of his acupoints. Yang Wu got up and practiced the whirling wave palm several times. He already had the embryonic form of the palm technique. If he practiced it together with the dragon turtle water suppression style, he could be considered to have reached the stage of minute subtlety. At this time, a prison guard rushed over and reprimanded Yang Wu. "Yang Wu, from now on, you're going to the 7th prison." So it came. Yang Wu sighed inwardly. He nodded and said, "I know." Wolf Smoke Mountain Prison had a total of 68 prisons. The higher you went, the more serious the criminals were. The first 7 prisons were filled with murderous, insane, and perverted people. If an ordinary prison slave was sent there, even if they didn't die, they would be tortured until they became mentally ill. Compared to the 68th prison, it was the difference between heaven and hell. Little Man, who had never strayed far from Yang Wu, weakly came over and said, "I'll accompany young master to the 7th prison." Shouho also came over and said, "Big brother, I'll accompany you to the 7th prison." Yang Wu looked at Little Man and Shouho with a gratified expression and said, "You two stay here obediently and don't cause trouble for me." "Young master, I'm your subordinate. I'll follow you wherever you go." Little Man's expression was resolute. Yang Wu lightly caressed Little Man's face and said with a smile, "Haha, don't worry. It won't be long before this young master takes you away." The prison guard saw how intimate Yang Wu was with Little Man and felt goosebumps all over his body. He thought to himself in disgust, "This brat is gay." If Yang Wu heard what the prison guard was thinking, he would definitely teach him a lesson. "Shouho, stay in the 68th prison and take good care of Little Man. Accumulate enough red steel as soon as possible. Don't worry about me," Yang Wu said to Shouho, and then followed the prison guard to the 7th prison. Little Man watched as Yang Wu walked further and further away. Tears fell from her eyes as she called out tenderly, "Young master, take care." Skinny Monkey clenched his fists as his eyes turned scarlet. He muttered, "What is 100,000 kilograms of crimson steel, ores? I can break mountains with a single glance. Do you think I can't find these crimson steel ores for Big Brother?" Neither of them noticed that a little hay was chasing after Yang Wu. Chapter 38. The 7th district was located deeper into the Wolf Smoke mountain range. There were more mountain rock monsters, and the chances of finding red steel rocks were higher. The number of prisoners here was no less than the number of prisoners in the 68th district. In fact, there were even more. Apart from the prisoners of the Great Xia dynasty, there were also captives from the barbarian tribe. They were at least at the level of a top-level martial soldier. The chains under their legs were larger than the ones in the 68th district. Without the strength of a human, it would be difficult to break free. The prison guards here were all under the Black Gorilla Gang. One of the 7 bosses of the prison, Black Gorilla, was in this district. It wasn't that the 7th district was weaker than the other districts. It was just that the prison slaves in the other districts were about the same, except for the 1st and 2nd districts. Black Gorilla was able to become one of the 7 bosses of the mountain prison. It was easy to imagine how strong he was. After Yang Wu was brought to the 7th district, he saw many burly prison slaves digging around. Their movements were much faster than the prison slaves in the 68th district. The mountain rocks were being dug up and sent flying everywhere. Their strength was not to be underestimated. Many of the prison slaves looked at Yang Wu. Each of them had a playful look on their faces. It seemed that they were extremely disdainful of this newcomer. This kid looks very young. I wonder if the back flower gate has been opened before. If it hasn't, let me have a taste. Old man Huang, don't scare him with that toothless thing of yours. Let me have a taste before you give it to him. You guys be careful. This newcomer who was brought to our district must have a belly full of tricks. Don't fail miserably. This is our territory. It doesn't matter if he's a dragon or a tiger. If he doesn't have some fun with us, then let him die. These prison slaves were all perverted, and there was no lack of people who were lustful. Their words were extremely dirty. He is Yang Wu from the 68th district. He is also the youth who killed Centipede and injured Li Futu. Remember to take care of him in the future. The prison guard sneered. After saying this loudly, he turned and left. Yang Wu frowned and turned to look at the jailer, his killing intent surging. He knew that he wouldn't have a good ending if he was sent to the 7th district, but the jailer had openly set him up, which made him very angry. Is it really Meng Helong or Lai Ziying who did this? Yang Wu clenched his fist and thought to himself. At this moment, a few prison slaves surrounded Yang Wu with gloomy sneers on their faces. Kid, did you kill that pitiful little centipede? Then do you know that he's a member of our black gorilla gang? Even if he's just a small fry, it's not up to you to kill him. The leader of the prison slaves said with a mouthful of yellow teeth. Yang Wu looked at the yellow-toothed prison slave and the other prison slaves with a fawning expression. Brothers, please don't listen to those rumors. How could I have the strength to kill someone? I was just framed. Brothers, can you let me go? Hee, it's not impossible for us to let you go. Hurry up and take off your clothes so that we can open the back door for you. We're all brothers in the future, so we won't make things difficult for you. The yellow-toothed prison slave laughed. That's right, old Huang is right. Another prison slave agreed. Yang Wu said, Sorry, I don't have the hobby of running around naked. If you guys have this hobby, why don't you show it to me right now, so that I can broaden my horizons? Are you trying to act dumb in front of me? The yellow-toothed prison slave snorted coldly, then waved his hand at his companions and said, Whoever strips him naked first will have his rear flower door first. You must make him wish for death first. Let me go first. I haven't had sex for a long time. A skinny prison slave shouted first and pounced on Yang Wu. His movements were quite agile, like a monkey. In the blink of an eye, he was already in front of Yang Wu and grabbed at Yang Wu's chest. This move, the Mill Dragon Claw, could be said to be used to perfection. Just as this move was about to reach Yang Wu's chest, Yang Wu's hands reached out as fast as lightning and pinched the opponent's wrists in his hands. He said faintly, I'm a man, not a woman. You're grabbing the wrong place. These hands should be broken. As soon as he finished speaking, an imposing aura surged from his body. He exerted force on his wrists, and two crisp sounds of bones breaking could be heard. Then, a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered was heard, completely breaking the silence of the 7th prison. Yang Wu staggered the prison slave's arms, swung him up, and threw him away heavily, causing dust and gravel to fly in the distance. The yellow-toothed prison slave licked his lips and said angrily, as expected of the little guy who could break little Centipede's leg, You're really something. Let's take him down together, take off his pants, and rape him. I guess Black Gorilla is as perverted as you. I'll have to wake you up completely. Yang Wu took the initiative and said. At this moment, the battle intent in Yang Wu's body surged. He wanted to make a name for himself in the 7th district. Whoever dared to bully him, insult him, scold him, beat him, or kill him, he would bully, humiliate, scold, beat him, and kill him. Yang Wu felt that he was holding a grudge, but he was not a saint, was he? Yang Wu stood like a dragon, with his back like a tortoise. He was ready to fight against the two prison slaves who rushed up first. They did not waste time talking nonsense with Yang Wu and smashed the crowbars in their hands at him. Yang Wu was quick to react. He grabbed one of the crowbars and pushed it to the side. The two crowbars hit each other and sparks flew everywhere. With his back as heavy as a mountain, Yang Wu leaned forward and knocked one of them flying away while vomiting blood. With another swing of his tail, the other person's face was crooked and he flew away. Another 3 prison slaves came from the left and right. One attacked from the top, one hit from the bottom, and the last one attacked from the bottom. They cooperated well and made sure that Yang-Wu would not have a chance to turn the situation around. Unfortunately, their attacks were full of loopholes in Yang-Wu's eyes. How could they hurt him? He swung the crowbar in his hand, and a dark cloud covered the sky and hit them violently. As the prison slaves were beaten to a pulp by Yang-Wu, the yellow-toothed prison slave shivered. He knew that this seemingly harmless young man was really tough. Yang-Wu carried the crowbar on his shoulder and looked at the yellow-toothed prison slave who showed fear. He smiled and said, "Don't be afraid. I'm not interested in lowly slaves like you. Take me to Black Gorilla and let me reason with him. Let's see who is more suitable to be the boss of the 7th Division. I have always won people over with my virtue." Then, without waiting for the yellow-toothed prison slave to reply, the crowbar had already swept towards his yellow-toothed teeth. His yellow-toothed teeth fell out and blood splattered everywhere. The yellow-toothed prison slave was in so much pain that he screamed like a pig being slaughtered. None of the prison slaves who had reached the advanced martial soldier level were Yang-Wu's match. Yang-Wu carried the crowbar and walked forward. He saw dozens of prison slaves surrounding him. There were many who had reached the beginner warrior level. "Kid, you really think you are a dragon crossing the river? In our Black Gorilla Gang's territory, even if you are a dragon, you'll have to coil up. Even if you are a tiger, you'll have to lie down." A prison slave who had reached the level of a warrior shouted as he raised a 1,000-gene rock and threw it towards Yang-Wu. The advanced martial soldier had the strength of 10 stones. It was not difficult to lift a 1,000-pound rock. However, it was difficult to throw a 1,000-pound rock. It was difficult for a non-warrior to do so. The rock rolled and fell in alarming speed. "Let me test the power of the wave-splitting palm," Yang-Wu muttered to himself. His eyes were like lightning, and his palm force was like thunder. He hit the rock that was coming at him. 12 meridians, 1 extraordinary meridian, and 45 opened acupoints shone at the same time. Profound chi rushed through his body like a rushing river and gathered in the palm of his hand to hit the rock. Bang! In an instant, the rock was split into pieces. It was also at this moment that many prison slaves surrounded him. Some threw rocks, some swung crowbars, and some even played with wooden stakes. These prison slaves did not care about one-on-one combat. As long as they could beat someone down, it was considered a victory. Ever since I became a warrior, I haven't had a good fight. Today, let me see if the 7th District is really a tiger's den. Yang-Wu gripped the crowbar in his hand. He circulated the Supreme 9 Mysteries formula and combined it with the Dragon Tortoise Water Suppression stance. Like a fish in water, the torrential spear art crazily struck out. After consuming the Earth Spirit Spring, Yang-Wu's body had undergone a round of marrow cleansing. His 5 senses were extraordinary, and he could clearly see all the attacks coming at him. He weaved through the openings, and wherever the crowbar went, there would be a prison slave falling to the ground, displaying his extraordinary fighting strength. One prison slave after another was knocked down. Not only did it not make the other prison slaves afraid, but it also aroused their fierceness. It was as if they wanted to tear Yang-Wu apart. Yang-Wu was not an invincible master. Under the siege of so many people, he also began to suffer. First, his back was hit by a crowbar, then his shoulder was hit by a rock. If he had not reached the level of profound chi defense, he would not have simply grimaced in pain. Swift and decisive. Torrential rain. Yang-Wu became more and more powerful as the battle went on. The torrential spear art was displayed even more exquisitely by him. Clouds of profound chi were released from the crowbar. The overbearing power of the crowbar broke the heads of the prison slaves and made them bleed. On a mountain peak in the distance, a burly man who looked like an iron tower saw everything clearly. He smiled faintly and said to himself, "If this kid can kill his way to the foot of the mountain, he'll be qualified to fight with me. Hey, Gu,